You're in tune to the FuseBox Radio Broadcast.
Turn the music up inside my session. These folks gotta hear my message.
Bringing balanced black radio to the masses.
All right, everybody. 1 2 1 2. What's going on? You are now in tune with the syndicated FuseBox Radio Broadcast, bringing the balance back to black radio since 1998. Whether it's on your FM dial, internet radio station, favorite website, or via the wonderful means of podcasting and all of that. You are now in the mix with myself, DJ Fusion, and man, y'all know we've been in the mix doing a lot of interviews lately with various folks. We're getting back into that mode in 2016, and the lady I have on here, good lord, this makes me feel old. We have been
I know.
in touch for damn near, good lord, 15 plus years? Since the MP3.com
it's gotta be
era?
a minimum of 15. Yes, MP3.com era, yes.
And
yes,
that makes me
indeed.
feel old because there's some teenager who's like, what the hell is MP3.com?
They have, they're thinking it's like, just MP3s. You know how you can just get MP3s now. You think about, how much the industry has changed,
No doubt.
since then.
No doubt. Since the MP3.com days, a lot of folks know her for her great work in St. Louis and elevating St. Louis hip-hop. Various folks know her from her writings, with The Final Call, handsupdon'tshoot.com, making a bunch of complacent color types very angry on Facebook. And just so much more, man. Like, this is a very accomplished lady. Like I said, we've known each other for quite a while, and with the various things that are going on in the United States as of late, especially with the upcoming presidential and congressional elections, Black America is in a really, really interesting place, especially since the past 2+ years with everything that's happened from Trayvon Martin to Michael Brown to all the people, black folks and other people of color who have been killed unjustly by the law enforcement system, and just a lot of other stuff going on. We've been talking back and forth about really needing to get on there and talk about some things, and my girl B-Gyrl here on the line is based in the St. Louis, Ferguson, Missouri area, and literally ever since all this stuff started jumping off, we've been in touch and talking about a lot of things, and she's been one of those folks who's giving us a lot of information on the ground in regard to what was happening over in Ferguson, Missouri, and just seeing how things have, I don't want to use the term devolved, but that's all I can think of right now, from how the work was with feet on the ground, not just in Ferguson, but all over the United States and the world, to now where it seems like people want you to be more complacent within the system, as it were. It's a sea change I personally am not for, especially because it exploits the pain all these family members and people in various communities have been through. And with B-Gyrl and my private conversations, some of the stuff that's happening, we've made the sad joke of we need to be able to pick lottery numbers the way that we can pick some of the foolishness that's been going on. But we're gonna definitely get into some stuff, and first and foremost, let me formally welcome you, and if you want to break down a little bit of your history for the people, that'd be great.
Wow, thanks for having me. I'm sitting here, just listening to you and do the introduction, and it just brings back so many memories. The fact that you brought up mp3.com, it's like, oh my God, you went way, 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 way back.
Yeah, I got to pull out my arthritis medicine because that made me feel old.
Yeah,
like,
man, you totally showed our ages right there. You know what I'm saying? Wow, and then just, everything else you were talking about, from the hands up, don't shoot to, what did you say? Agitating people online? What was that?
Well, both agitating and aggravating some various peoples. If you look at some of your pages, yes.
You're too polite. My background is just essentially, I mean, for people who don't know, I'm a hip hop head. I launched some of the first hip hop sites online. And when you look at where hip hop has evolved from that point in time, you know, and I know you are fully aware of this because you launched, you know, one of the first, and that definitely has to be the longest hip hop podcast. Just looking at how things have evolved, you know, over the course of, you know, the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it's just really, I don't know, man. It's just really amazing, you know, when you just to watch it evolve, to watch that evolve, to watch hip hop evolve, to watch this, new, well, I'm not going to necessarily say new, I'm going to say reemergence, you know, of social awareness, you know, within the younger generation, millennials. And just knowing how all of these pieces of all of these are pieces of a puzzle, you know, with where we are today and what we're trying to do. It's everything is intertwined. So, yeah, just listening to what you said, those are just the different things that were running through my mind right there. Ferguson, this is probably one of the first times I've really like sat and reflected upon it. Really don't get that many opportunities because we're living this all the time. You know, it's in real time for us. You know, there's no light switch where we can just flip it off and you know, turn it back on, you know, when need be. It's a continuous cycle. So just even sitting here talking about it, you know, it makes my heart heavy because I can remember sitting in front of my laptop and seeing, you know, this image on social media. You know, and at first I thought it was, you know, some Facebook spam or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really pay attention to it, you know, but then, you know, as hours went by, it was in my feed and more people were posting it and more people were talking about it. And, you know, I happened to like click on it to see, okay, what is this? And it turned out that it was Michael Brown's body. You know, he had been shot and killed down at Canfield and, you know, the Ferguson area, you know, St. Louis is in North County. It's a very, popular section. It's a main artery that connects the city and the county. It goes all the way downtown. It turns into different streets, you know, but it starts, you know, downtown and it goes across the city, across the city-county line, you know, all the way out to North County and then just beyond. So it's an area that, you know, people go through quite frequently. It's an area that during that point in time, it was like playing Russian roulette, like really, as soon as you cross the city-county line, it was on, like from Jennings all the way through Ferguson and Delwood. It's like you're playing Russian roulette. Are you going to get pulled over? You know, because somebody's getting pulled over. You're going to see a lot of people getting pulled over. A lot of people sitting outside their cars. A lot of people getting arrested. You know, the lights. So that was kind of the atmosphere and environment, you know, when Michael Brown and his friend were walking down the street, walking down Canfield, and Darren Wilson encountered them.
Yeah, since I know for me, with everything with Ferguson, it was definitely hearing about it via social media throughout the day. And knowing the little bit I did know at the time, I knew that various parts of Missouri were volatile, to say the least, in regard to race relations. And I think because we are in this instantaneous social media age, and unfortunately being able to encounter good and bad immediately when stuff happens, the rage was palpable, especially since mainstream media took their sweet time talking about this horrible incident. And you're seeing, at least from my end, from where I am currently in the DC metro area, I was seeing more information about what happened with Michael Brown and Ferguson from international news outlets and people who were on the ground and, indie streamers and stuff like that, than I did turning on ABC, NBC, so forth and so on. And I think it was over a few days, and it's like, what is going on right now? And then, us seeing that these, outside media people were being harassed to the point where a lot of press freedom organizations had to get in people's asses about stuff with, saying that you had to be this far away to talk about stuff, and having tear gas fired on them, and God knows.
Snatching them up out of McDonald's, just.
Mm-hmm. And I think they had a no-fly zone for a minute, too.
Yeah, man, they did that.
And it's like, why is nobody talking about this really loudly? But then look at what the area is.
Total violation. Total violation, of the Constitution. Just blatant. Right there, and no one does anything.
And you look at this, and unfortunately, we know everything that has occurred with the quote-unquote justice system, with Michael Brown's case and things that have happened all over the United States. What I have a curiosity about, especially if you have your feet on the ground and seeing that some people got very mad at you reporting what was happening with your feet on the ground down there. I'm curious, from your viewpoint, what was it like to have people coming in from different places into Ferguson with good intent, or what we're going to get to later on, not so good intent? Like when you started having the massive people come down there.
We were out there weeks before, people started coming. I think people were waiting to see, what was going to happen. I think, like the nation, the whole world was surprised, because these are not images you're used to seeing, and they were very reminiscent of, the images that were coming out of the 60s, on steroids. So, when people came initially, there were so many people that were coming out, you didn't even know these people were really not from here. You just figured, they were people who lived on another side of town, or, you don't know everybody. You know what I'm saying? You can live in the city and not know a lot of people in the county, and people in the county and not know a lot of people in the city, and live on a block and not know people on the next block. So you don't know everybody, so, I could speak for me personally, just, when I would encounter people and, you get to talk to them and things like that. What sent up red flags to me was seeing how local people were deferring to these people who were, and it was like, just people I knew. Like people I've been in the trenches with, I would say, in terms of, I would say we were all on the same side of fighting for, the advancement of just the black situation in St. Louis. So to see those people, defer to people you don't know, and initially you're thinking it's a situation where, okay, we're all going to network, we're going to do this, we're going to make it happen, because you're thinking that these people are, from here, and you find out very quickly because they become really cliquish and it's really secretive, and you just see a lot of like red signs, and then you realize immediately these people are not from here, because once you get them on your radar, you can you can tell pretty quickly that they're not from St. Louis, and then at that point, like I said, it sends up a red flag, because it's like, okay, then who are they? And if it's someone who came to help and they were sincere, that wouldn't be such a, difficult question to answer. Who funded you? Who sent you here? Who paid? Did you get paid to come here? Mm-hmm. And it's really something, because when you think about it, when you look at where we are right now, and I don't know if you saw the New Yorker piece that came out a couple of days ago.
I was going to definitely ask some stuff about that one.
Yeah, but buried in that piece, they were talking about one of them got like $500,000 to write policy for policing in California, and I'm just like, based on what? Coming to Ferguson for a few days? You know what I'm saying? We were out there getting tear gas. You know what I'm saying? We are the ones who brought this issue to the forefront. So you're telling me someone can come here for who's not even from here, has no ties here, has no organization here, can come here, bring a caravan of activists, and people who work for special interests. We don't know who all these people are, and they can meet with, a handful of folks, and the next thing you know, they have a $500,000 grant, and that's one grant from one company.
Now, this is something I definitely wanted to get into, and you actually perfectly segued into that. Now, when people are coming in from outside places and what have you, I think one of the things a lot of folks don't know or might not necessarily be parsing from all the talk of Black Lives Matter right now is Black Lives Matter did not originate around that way. That's correct?
Yes. Black Lives Matter did not originate in Ferguson.
Because I think right now people use it as an all-encompassing organization or cry because of the hashtag culture that we're in.
I mean, you got to give them credit. They did it so smooth. There was a transition. It was so quickly. If you blink, you probably would have missed it. They came to Ferguson. They grabbed some Ferguson faces. They elevated them. They put them in the limelight. They anointed them. People in St. Louis, I'm not going to say people here fell back. People here didn't really even know this stuff was happening. We found out on the news like everyone else when they were like, these are the leaders of the Ferguson protest. What? We had no leaders. It was a situation where, people just came out. Everyone had their own reason for coming out. We were just all unified. Everybody wanted justice, and that was our main goal. There was no division. There wasn't this rift between the elders and the youth, gays or straights, well off and less fortunate. We didn't have all that. We all fought as Black people in St. Louis.
And that's actually another good point that folks brought up, because one of the things, and this is just me, I don't know if you're going to agree or disagree, that I kind of see right now with how everything, I think, spun off from Ferguson, and unfortunately, I think left Ferguson in the background at the end of the day, is that when you've had people get, I guess, elevated / anointed to mainstream respectability, or at least mainstream, here are these Negroes right here who are going to talk about Black people stuff with things.
Oh, definitely.
Is that it almost feel like there was more of a division right after that happened, because you started noticing talk with people. Yeah, like you started having people talk about, there's a different, there's men versus women, there's, heterosexual versus homosexual, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm just there like, you didn't hear that before.
Right, and see, that is the moment when Hands Up, Don't Shoot, I'm not going to even say transition into Black Lives Matter. It didn't transition. Black Lives Matter hijacked, our movement, and they threw their branding on it. And, one of the first things they did was create a rift between the elders and the young people. Because, the elders, they've been through it. They know the traps. They know the things to look out for. And so that was one of the first rifts, they had to create and then exploit. The second rift was the whole, male versus female, because it went from Black Lives Matter to specifically Black women's, Black women matter, and then it went to, Black, transgender, Black gays, and then they broke it down, so many different ways. We were no longer fighting as, Black people. We were no longer united. Now it's all these little factions, of folks who weren't even from here. So not only did they take the emphasis off of Ferguson, they created these rifts. And another rift they created was like within the religious community. Because there were people, when the issue was just all of us being Black, then you don't have to worry about, how people, like one religion may feel about, sexuality, and things like that. You don't have that issue. So why would you create that rift?
No doubt. And speaking of the entire part division, one thing I really wanted to talk about with you was the shift that happened from the grassroots portion of the movement to what now just seems to be a non-profit commodification of the movement.
That's something else that happened. When they came, you had protesters create nonprofits. And it's not that these people were nonprofits beforehand. They became nonprofits afterwards. And once they became nonprofits, then they could solicit certain things. The problem is, where's the money? Once again, where's the money? How much money did you get? Where did it go? What is it going towards? And what do you have to do in exchange? And everyone has a nonprofit now. Everybody, they have a nonprofit or some type of organization or some GoFundMe or some PayPal for donations or some fundraiser, and there's no accountability. There's no public paper trail.
And this is one of the things that was one of my major beefs with certain stuff, again, for me from the outside looking in. Because I remember it was like maybe about 6 or plus months ago, there was, actually I remember we talked about it because everybody got this press release about it. And it was talking about Talib Kweli and a bunch of other folks doing things under a nonprofit for Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have folks like, okay, this money got donated, where's the programs? Where's the money? Because they had everything from, I think, like a revolutionary school to various programs, stay out of crime and all of that. Like, people got supremely pissy when these questions were being asked because, again, it's a lot of money. And for me, looking at stuff, I'm like, when you talk about people like, here's, 6 figures plus getting donated to things, like from the information that you were able to get and receive and talking to community folks, did any of this stuff ever happen? Because we don't hear anything on the national level about these programs that's going to happen in Ferguson.
You didn't get the follow-up press release? Because I was going to ask you to forward it to me, that detailed all of this, and complete with photographs and a lovely website, where people could go and check, all the wonderful things they did. And of course I'm being sarcastic. No. And if you look at the original, if you look at the original Indiegogo campaign, it specifically states that the money was supposed to go to, to protesters. They need money to live. They need, legal fees. They need our help. And it went from that to, funding these various organizations and people who were on his committee, and then he also mentioned a school for protesters what really stuck out to me about that is like, you were not here. You were not the spark for this. You know what I'm saying? You may deal with a handful of Ferguson movement folks, who are part of this, coalition of people, who were down, but you, how are you going to teach people to protest? How are you going to teach people something you don't know? And, once again, no transparency. There's been no transparency, at all. When it comes to, money, or where these people came from, whether or not they were sent here by certain folks, who's paying them, what are they being paid to do, what organizations are they associated and affiliated with, any type of political alliances.
And that to me is just very much the frightening thing about all this, because when we talked about the Talib join and that Indiegogo campaign, I remember getting this big professional press release and all this other type of stuff. And then it was like, oh, money got donated. That's awesome. Where is it? Dead silence, or you're being against black folks because you're asking questions. I'm like, I'm not being against black folks because I'm asking questions. I'm being a smart black person because I'm pretty damn sure that those folks who are like, need this bail money or actually want to have this, proposed independent school of thought would like to know what's up. You know what I'm saying? And there's not even a website for this stuff. You know,
Yeah,
any jackass can go on Squarespace and make a website. You know what I mean?
It's a anything goes kind of thing. There's no updated information. You know, there's no centralized location. There's no legal fund. You know, there's no mental health fund. You know, you look at the young brother who killed himself in, you know, at the South Carolina state capitol. You look at Sandra Bland, and we still really don't know what happened to her. But we do know that if she were bailed out, you know what I'm saying, that she would still be alive today. You know, but there are no resources for the movement. You know, there are just, I don't know, there are just people we're supposed to follow. You know, people we're supposed to live vicariously through. People we're supposed to feel, you know, represent us, and, you know, they make us feel good. They make us cheer. We see them on TV, you know, but the reality is, there hasn't been any justice for any of the families. I don't know if most people are aware that, Ferguson didn't settle with the Brown family. They're actually going to have to go to court. You know, you look at the cases where, you know, there have been settlements, like with the Freddie Gray case and with the, what was his name? Samuel Du Bois?
Yeah.
What was his name? Yeah. There was a settlement in his case and in other cases. But there's not a settlement, you know, here. You know, we are still fighting. We're still going through everything that we went through before. There hasn't been any change. Ferguson hasn't even signed the, consent decree with the Department of Justice. All of the same people are in power. Mayor Knowles is still in power. Bob McCullough is still in power. The whole political structure is still intact.
And that's one thing to me that's just very frightening about all this, because there was such a huge movement on what seemed like multiple fronts post-Ferguson. And now we're sitting back and it's just they're like, well, where are we right now? We see, you know, some folks getting their PR and all of that. We have some people running for political office, which I will get into in a minute, because as a person living in the D.C. metro area, it kind of rubs me the wrong way more than a little bit. You see people, you know, still doing the speech award tour thing and all of that, but it's like ultimately,
you forgot the people who are running from tragedy to tragedy, you know, with posting the selfies, and it's just disgusting. Like, seriously, it's really tacky. It's exploitive, but it's exploitive on, I mean, that's not even a strong enough word, you know. To me, that is being really respectable. You know what I'm saying? Like, please help me out here. Give me another word.
No, that's how I feel, honestly, when I look at stuff like this. More, I mean, it's that way already, but it's that way even more so because the progress that could have been made, to me, has essentially been squandered, partially due to some people, this is my personal opinion, not wanting to interrupt the gravy trade. We in the black community, and I'm sure in other communities, have a thing where people kind of just feed off of other folks' pain and get a chance to eat. From my viewpoint, you know, this isn't saying that some folks have not done some good at various parts or whatever, but when it seems like you're trying to get that I'm the Negro who talks about black people's issues space on TV and everywhere else, and you know, you're putting yourself up as the one, the only, and everything else, or we're the main people, kind of screw everybody else who put in their work. It's just a horrid thing to me. And then when I see a lot of people, I think purposefully, trying to co-opt into systems and with groups that really don't care about you besides being there like, here's our good black person. There's an issue. Like, I remember we were talking a little while back, and even though I think the Washington Times 99.9% of the time is a rag of a media site, they had a very interesting point when things were first jumping off, and they were talking about the Black Lives Matter organization getting funding
Mm-hmm.
from various big Democratic resources, including George Soros.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember folks being so pissed when that information came out. And for me, it was like, partially it was like, well, if you're actually doing something, you're not just, being somebody's puppet, you shouldn't really be pissed. And secondly, information is information is information. Now, they might try to throw this out there as an attack mechanism, and to a degree it worked, but that was still money that came out, and then other places were like, yeah, we can co-sign this. This isn't them, like, pulling info out their ass. This is a thing that occurred. And when you have people coming from outside places to do stuff, I think we don't necessarily like questioning things because we get wrapped up in emotion sometimes. Like, here is a black person, they're doing their thing, that's awesome, and that's cool to a degree, but not when you're not getting a lot of stuff done. And I think ultimately, again, from the outside looking in, when we look at Ferguson, the bit of information I get is just like, it still looks like Ferguson's on some fuck shit. Pardon my language. With things. Yeah, not seeing a lot of, well, we're not going to, I guess we're going to agree to what the Justice Department said. As you said, they haven't even signed everything officially yet. There's still, trickle of stories we get from, outside folks where I'm like, it still sounds like people are getting fucked up around Missouri in general.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. There hasn't been. I mean, that's the whole point. There hasn't been any change. There's been a lot of, there's been a lot of putting blackface on the issue. They've trotted out a lot of different, new black officials, black interim police chiefs, new black city council members. And just, it's amazing to me because all these new black people and Mayor Knowles are still in place and they can't stop them. They don't have the power to stop them. So for Mayor Knowles to appoint people who are just extensions of him, black people who are extensions of him, we're not, I mean, that's not the point. They all have to go. And what's upsetting to me is that there's so many black people in position who are willing to play those roles.
And I don't know, again, to me, that's what it just looks a lot like to me, is that you're having, chocolate faces still push the same garbage and nonsense all over. And
I mean, it started early on in Ferguson. The first thing Ferguson did was hire a black publicist. Actually they hired a white publicist and then they got rid of them because everyone was saying, oh, they got the white guy. So then they hired a black publicist who happened to be a guy who killed a black dude. I guess he couldn't find any other publicist who hadn't, any other black publicist that hadn't killed a black dude.
I remember that craziness, like, really? Okay.
that was like, wow. And then immediately after that, they, inserted Captain Ron Johnson. And people were like, oh, he's from Ferguson and he's black and he understands our struggle, but he works for them. He works for the state. He works for the establishment. At the end of the day, it's his job. He's not going to be on our side. He's not going to not do what he is ordered to do. So putting a black face on the supremacy, it's still systemic. You know what I'm saying? Just putting a black face on it doesn't make it black power, especially when blacks don't have any power. And he didn't have any power. There are people who will say, well, maybe things didn't get as bad as they would have if he wasn't in that position. But that's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know what I'm saying? Is the glass is half empty or is the glass half full?
Word up. And now looking at some of the political moves people are making, I know particularly with D-Ray here in Baltimore, with the mayoral, race. It's one of those things I'm looking at. I'm like, we can make differences in the system as well as outside the system. I think you had to do both. That's what history to me shows. However, it just feels very opportunistic to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the black guy who talked about black stuff on TV and blackity black, and I'm here now. And by the way, I'm being backed by the same, people who are trying to get Bernie Sanders campaign popping.
So you got to ask yourself, I mean, how did all of this come about? Is that what the whole point of you, like, going out there, is that what that was for? You know what I'm saying? To put yourself on? Is that what you were talking about in all of these meetings? Where you were supposed to be meeting on our behalf? Because, I mean, what happened to the campaign zero? You know what I'm saying? There's been no change in Ferguson, so is that just dead? When you look at Chicago and Rahm Emanuel is still, in office. When you look at Baltimore, you still have the Freddie Gray trial. It hasn't been resolved. I mean, so when does he squeeze all of this in? Not to mention all of these other cases that are still, up in the air.
And this is one of the things I just look at in general that has come from Ferguson that has been, for me, just looking at it, because we're in this 24-hour information cycle, not just news, but just streams of information. You just got to sit back and just really, really critique things, because I know if I feel like Ferguson has been left behind, Baltimore has been left behind, parts of Florida have been left behind, so many places have been left behind when things have happened and occurred, and, people, I think, are in the hush money mode now where they're like, we better settle before it gets to a trial with a lot of things. It's like, I'm sure money is better than nothing, but that somebody's life is gone. There's still systematic issues going on within law enforcement in all of these various communities and all throughout the U.S. Like, what do you think, I should ask, would be the ultimate catalyst to change before we get into a few other joints? Because right now, from my viewpoint, nobody's really doing it right. Like, we get the pressure and things in the street, but like, what's up after being in the street in terms of putting pressure on folks to make change happen?
Well, first, I think what's going to happen is we have to change our way of thinking about a lot of things. Because until we change our way of thinking, we're going to continue to do the same things over and over and over again. And that's where we are right now. We are literally living history repeating itself. The second thing is, like, I mean, there are some people who get it. They see, everything that you described, and they see everything that we've spoken about. And the people who get it, they've got work to do. We got work to do, and they understand that part of that work is building our own. Whether it's the media or renovating, our communities. I mean, just strengthening us as a people in whatever kind of way. Regardless of what their contribution is, their individual contribution, but everyone pushing towards advancement and things like ownership. Because the problem is we are bargaining from a position where we don't have power. That's why we don't get anything, because we don't have power. We don't have anything to leverage. So we don't get anything. That's the first thing. The second thing is an understanding that, we have to have a long-term strategy. Yes, it's going to be like a process, baby steps, but, progression nevertheless. We can't just focus on the battle right now. We have to prepare, for future battles. You know what I'm saying? Because they're switching it up on us all the time. They're switching it up on us, and a lot of what's happening, on our end and the things that we're suffering and going through right now is everything is like self-inflicted. We're doing this to ourselves. They're not winning in the PR war and all of that because, they're that much more savvy than us. They're winning because we are defeating ourselves. We are, subjecting ourselves to a series of of like self-inflicted wounds, you know, and look at where we are now. That's a consequence of that. So it's going to take a variety of things, and there isn't like one set solution. You know, there isn't one fight. We're going to have to fight on many different battles. But the main thing, like I said, you know, from jump is we have to change the way that we think. We have to be more strategic. You know, we have to be more, it's like playing chess. You know, if you play chess, you know that it's not about the moves that you are making. You know, it's about what you are distracting people, you know, distracting your opponent. You know, you're setting them up for the kill. You know, you're 2 or 3 moves ahead, you know, of that piece that you're moving. And so that's what's happening to us. We're so focused on the piece that they're moving, you know, we're not looking long term.
Oh, Bill, I definitely can agree with all of that. And perfect transition. I think one of the ways that right now the multiple movements at large, I think, are hurting themselves is trying to engage in revisionist history live and in living color in front of everybody. You mentioned the Jelani Cobb article that dropped by the New Yorker earlier this week. People can check out The Matter of Black Lives by your favorite search engine of choice, and I'll link that to the show notes when we have this posted up.
Okay.
But when one sits back and looks at this article, I think actually it's stepping kind of lightly, my personal opinion, but it definitely gets into some stuff where it's just they're like, yo, y'all are fucking up because you can't even keep secrets quiet. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep fuckery quiet. And it's not just from this article, which breaks down a few really interesting things, but also I think a lot of folks don't know how to just keep stuff in their own circles. Like, like the old folks say, don't put all your nonsense on Front Street. And then be mad that people are talking about it later. Like, I never in a million years would have thought that a whole bunch of civil rights people are going to be bitching at each other on Twitter. Or bitching at people who feel like I have a question or I'm disagreeing. That's something.
I would never in a million years guess that corporations would give these people millions of dollars who are on Twitter doing these things, you know, and talking about their, you know, fighting for justice. I mean, so is it just that anything goes? Is it just, this is comedy for them? Is this, entertainment? You know what I'm saying? There are no standards, just give them money and let them run loose and not be held accountable. I mean, like, what is going on here? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
Like, it's one of those things that's just very, very bizarre because at least, I think especially the past maybe 2 to 3 months, there's always somebody on my Facebook like, you see this bullshit on Twitter where these folks are screaming on each other? And then it's just like, oh, yeah, they are. And it's just really minute by minute. Huh, okay. So-and-so don't like so-and-so. Well, you got paid this. Well, you got this under the table. They're like, what are you doing? What the fuck? Y'all got real issues. And stuff that y'all supposed to be talking about and representing, and if y'all need to visit each other, use a phone. Let Instagram and Twitter go.
They can't because they have followers and they're posting for likes and followers and to be in the limelight and to get into news headlines and to have people talking about them. The fact that we're talking about them right now, you know, none of these people were like on the radar to this extent before, you know, Michael Brown was killed. Before they started talking about Ferguson, you know, so now they're just, you know, really out there and they're milking every moment.
And like, here's the thing, like, there's definitely some people that, from my studies, I have a side eye from beginning to end. There's some people I think who got caught up in the mix, who were doing some stuff. They just got swept up into an entire wave of press PR and a way to eating. Yeah. And might not know how the hell to get out of it. And more, because I think some people might listen to this conversation and be there like, y'all just the fuck out everybody, and of course they'll put out the what the fuck you do type of shit. It's like everybody has their stuff they do, okay? Like the lack of people wanting to hear criticism, or maybe you should want to research some stuff before you co-sign it 1,000%. I think has been kind of a cancer that has occurred.
Yeah,
since Ferguson. I think nobody wants to be there like, well, shit was shitty at Ferguson. Well, it's like we know stuff was bad at Ferguson. This is why we need to actually critique what's going on in a positive way and in a constructive way to get stuff going on. Because, I mean, I know when that article came out with New Yorker, you had some people just automatically screaming and la 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 la, I don't want to hear nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like the surface stuff. It wasn't even the deeper stuff, like, let's say, for some people who know how Teach for America and stuff runs, that D-Ray gets some pretty big backing from those cats. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you know how people look at things with like charter schools and all other types of stuff. Like, things get kind of weird. It doesn't necessarily mean these are horrible human beings, but we can't get to a point where people can just do revisionist history and you don't question stuff when everything is out on Front Street. Like we talked about offline, it's like all these tweets where people are screaming on each other are archived at the Library of Congress. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, you know, if you really just feel bored one day, you can probably sit down and search out this stuff and be there like, wait a minute. Nobody's saying you gotta be an angel or perfect. Nobody is. But there's some really weird stuff going on under a banner that is supposed to mean something that you don't want to get watered down, period. You know, in general, not just for your community and stuff, but for these other situations that are coming up, like I brought up at the beginning with all these elections going on. Because people right now, I think, are looking at the Black Lives Matter scenarios and contingent as being, here's how I can get me some votes. Here's how I can get some support. But if that seems unstable, then where are black people right now? In terms of having their leverage and their power, and whereas black people goes other groups of color, go other marginalized groups. In terms of how civil rights push and stuff goes on. And, like I said, a lot of people saw the article in the Medium that was published by the Medium. They talk about, well, Black Lives Matter was actually supposed to be for people to network. And it's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Like, you don't got to be a historian to be like, that wasn't really how it started.
No one said that. Like, where did you say this ever? When you were on the news and you never corrected anyone who called you, you know, referred to you as a leader. You didn't make that distinction. You know, there was never this distinction. As a matter of fact, you used the fact that they labeled you a leader, you know, to solicit millions of dollars. You know, and the only thing I could think, like me personally, is it's got to do with just not wanting to be transparent about the money. Because people are asking questions about the money. A lot of people are digging. Unfortunately, it's the conservatives who are digging, because these are like the media darlings of the left, you know, in the Democratic establishment. So it's people on the right who are coming out with this. And yeah, you don't have to agree with their rhetoric or anything like that. But I mean, there is some truth in what they say. I mean, at least if nothing else, they can point you in a direction where you can form an educated opinion for yourself.
And I think that's ultimately what people fear in general, is like independent-minded people, period, much less independent-minded black folks. Because one of the things that I'm pretty damn sure is going to happen post this interview, like what happens with most of our shows when we get into certain stuff, is that, why are you talking about that? That causes problems. No, there's already been fucking problems. We're trying to figure out why they're occurring, how they're going to go.
I mean, there are a lot of problems that people aren't aware of because they just see things, you know, at the surface. You know, they don't see what's going on beneath the surface. They haven't peeled the layers back. I mean, me personally, I've gotten, you know, so much pushback from different people, since August the 9th, 2014. I really try not to get into, you know, debates with people who were not there. You know what I'm saying? If you weren't there, it really doesn't matter to me what you think. Because at the end of the day, you're talking about secondhand, third-hand information that you got. You know, you weren't there to see for yourself. I was there. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lot of other people who were there. And the reason these people are standing up is because people need to know what happened. I mean, anyone who takes offense, I mean, they can do the research for themselves. What they need to look at is, I mean, these issues are still happening. You know, this could happen in their town if it hasn't already. You know, they don't have to take my word. They can talk to Baltimore activists, the same ones who are, you know, questioning D-Ray right now. They can talk to, Ferguson activists. They can come to Ferguson themselves. They come to West Florissant and Chambers. Put that in your GPS, you know, and come talk to people in the community. Ask them about any of these people. See if they even know who these people are. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how far removed, you know, these people are. I've had people say things like, I thought you were, you know, at first I thought you were jealous, you know, that's why you were, you know, so angry, you know, in your criticisms and the things that you post. Yes, I'm angry because I was there and because I know this happened. You know what I'm saying? And because I know for a fact they did these things. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna be angry. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you were there, like if you witnessed someone running from your house, you know what I'm saying, and they stole some of your stuff, and you see the person running with your stuff down the street, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to be like, oh no, they didn't do it, or you're not going to like not be angry when you see that person. You're going to be upset. So I mean, just this whole I don't know, where people feel like what I'm supposed to prove something to them. I mean, what did these people prove to them? You know what I'm saying? What did they prove? How were they vetted? You know, they don't know D-Ray. People don't know D-Ray. They don't know these sisters who started Black Lives Matter. They don't know them. They just see them on TV. You know, so for people to say, who am I? Who are they? You know what I'm saying? Who were they when they came here? You know, no one, if I'm telling you I don't know them and you're hearing this from activists from LA to Baltimore, then, you know, obviously there's a problem. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed, because you can't have a movement where there is no transparency or accountability. And I just don't believe in this whole we have to be PC correct about it, or we have to be respectable about, you know, how we get at them. You know, Ferguson, we ain't about that. You know what I'm saying? When you out there getting tear gas and you're going through all of that, you have surpassed that point. You know what I'm saying? We're coming demanding answers. The same way, you know, we stood out there and we demanded answers on August 9, 2014.
And I think that's what the ultimate frightening thing about a lot of this is for me, is like people just don't want to even ask questions. Nobody's saying that you got to shit on everybody and the good that, you know, various folks have done or could have done is negated or anything. But I think it is a legitimate question to be like, who are these folks? You know, where are they from? What they doing now? What did they do beforehand? Mm-hmm. And, you know, how ultimately at the end of the day are you helping people? I don't gotta like any fucking body if they're helping somebody out.
Can we ask why is it they have not contributed any of this money into the movement?
I think that's a very big question.
You know, why isn't there a national legal defense fund? You know, why isn't there mental health? You know, why isn't there some type of support system for protesters who come from out of town, or people who come from out of town just to work? You know what I'm saying? To assist. I'm not talking about people who come to co-op. I'm talking about people who actually come to help. You know, and supplies and I mean, so many things that people need. You know, it's just amazing to me that, they get money. You know, they get grants. You know, I'm sure they get some type of salary. You know, if they don't, they have the grants. You know, I'm sure these chapters are getting money. You know, and I just don't think it's fair that all of these people who, were not from Ferguson, who did not make the sacrifice that the people of Ferguson made, were able to come there, co-opt the efforts of that community that was fighting for justice for one of their own, you know, and then to walk away, you know, with millions of dollars.
And then also who, I think, affiliates under the banner Black Lives Matter.
I mean, it's perfectly confusing. It's perfectly confusing.
Like, it's completely confusing, and it's crazy because you had the folks who were just there like, well, this is an overall, nebulous, movement / slogan. You got folks who are like, well, here's the Black Lives Matter organization, and that stands for this. Here are the people who are like, we co-sign political people. Here are the folks who are like, we don't co-sign political people. And for me, even on the most basic level, it's like, well, what the fuck is this? If somebody says Black Lives Matter, what does that mean? I think, as with Heads Up, Don't Shoot and other things, it just almost got co-opted to trying to, the message got watered down.
It did.
To the point of this nebulous emptiness. And it's a sad thing to see so much passion and, mental power and spiritual power and everything else just kind of be there like, well, what is it? It's a thing that has
even
some
more
Negroes
than that,
in it.
it was the unity, because I never thought I would see that type of unity in St. Louis, or maybe even with black people. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a unity that was there, and that's the biggest loss. There was unity. There was, people just were out. You had gangs, who were, Bloods and Crips, working together to protect businesses. You had, it just didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? None of the division, we didn't have any of those divisions. That didn't happen until Black Lives Matter came, and it was just really unfortunate, that a handful of St. Louis folks, just completely, compromised the movement for their own personal gain. And you see the personal gain, whether it's fame or, books or, speaking engagements or, prominence or access, jobs.
And that's the entire strange thing about all of this to me, because even people look at the New Yorker article, they straight up said, well, half of these folks who, y'all look at in terms of Black Lives being quote unquote Black Lives Matter don't officially belong to an organization chapter. And as we talked about earlier, the seat of where a lot of this stuff really started jumping off in Ferguson, Missouri in general, don't have a chapter.
Right.
And it's like,
well,
how does that exist in St. Louis? And
because I'm gonna tell you why. Because of everything I just told you, they cannot come to St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? The article in the Atlantic also mentioned, one of them had to cancel an appearance speaking at Webster University, for fear of safety, and that was, I don't know.
Fear of safety.
Safety issues, and they were kind of implying like something with Campaign Zero, something Netta or something. I don't know, but my thing is like Netta is on thin ice herself. You know what I'm saying? So no, they can't have a chapter here. They can't come here. That's the question people need to ask themselves. If the people of Ferguson are so happy with Black Lives Matter, why are they not welcome here? Why would they be getting, these threats? What would make Ferguson turn on them? Could it be everything I'm saying? Yes, it is. Unless you just don't want to believe it, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. I can't make people believe something they just don't want to believe despite evidence. Everything we're talking about is you can verify it very easily. You know what I'm saying? You can go to handsupdon'tshoot.com. You can go back to Post, all the way to August the 9th, and you'll see, just from the media analysis, some of the tweets and different things that we're starting to storify, so that we could connect the dots. You could go look in these people's timelines, these people who are now trying to act like they don't know each other. They don't know what happened with the money, and this person is not part of this, and all of that. They weren't saying that stuff, a year ago. They were all buddy. They were all on the gravy train, And
speaking of Campaign Zero and all of that, since you now just made me think of that. You hear Black Lives Matter, you hear Campaign Zero, you hear all of this type of stuff. From your viewpoint, are any of these folks able to actually are doing stuff down there or walking the streets down there?
No.
No.
Again, all you have. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you like this. Go to their social media and see if you see photos of them, down on West Forest and they're down in Canfield. see if you see D-Ray being embraced, you know, by grassroots activists who have been fighting the battle, you know, in Baltimore while he was out doing whatever he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Like people who sacrifice. You know, these people, their own words and tweets and social media. I mean, their own work. I mean, they discredit themselves. So, I mean, unless you just really want to believe the illusion, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what it is. You know, whether you choose to accept it or not, I mean, these things are happening, and they're happening in real time.
And it's just very, very bugged out. And right now, some people caught feelings of us saying this last week, I'm like, I feel that a lot of these parents and families and other folks in general who are just going through some real genuine pain because things are like so fractured and disorganized with various organizations that on some level are supposed to represent various parts of Black America. It's like we have presidential candidates like, you know, playing like a fucked up game of Pokemon, like I gotta catch them all in terms of I need to have these Black people say that they're co-signing me. And I had to have these other Black people saying they're co-signing me, and nothing is getting solved with that. Where you got some folks like, well, you know, I got, you know, Eric Garner's daughter. Well, I got Eric Garner's mama. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got the Martin family here. I got this here. I got this person who says it with Campaign Zero, semi kind of sort of co-signing me on Twitter. I got this other person saying they're doing this, and I'm just there like, ultimately, it feels like we're back to step zero. We're still trying to get mainstream America, aka white America, to love us and accept us, and to maybe, hopefully, one day in the future, treat us like we're more than 3/5 a person. And for me, it is like extremely outraging and just angering me because we're seeing it live and living. I'm like, y'all like even trying to play the game cute right now. You know what I'm saying? You're not being slick with it. You're not doing nothing. When I see a person like D-Ray, who is not from the Maryland area, decided not just roll in the Maryland, period, because there are plenty of other, you know, places where Black folks are all over Maryland, of different socioeconomic backgrounds. But to go to Baltimore, where shit was literally on fire about a year ago, with Freddie Gray's murder by the police and all of that, to be there like, oh, hey, I'm going to come in and play Super Negro, and I'm going to be one of the people running for mayor. Not just as an independent,
I mean,
but
he
under the Democratic machine. It's like, what's like, this is not a game. What is going on?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it like this. He has some roots he wants to exploit. He's been there to DC. He got bit by the bug. You know, Baltimore is a hop, skip, and a jump away. You know, he believes these people who, you know, are paying him. You know, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. They're paying him.
It's just bugged out. You have that, and you have these folks doing their arguments via social media, mad loud, like we talked about earlier, where it's like, you're giving people meat to prey on you. Like, even if you have the world's best intentions, you're like, yo, I'm going to go hard, I'm going to do this thing. Because there's nothing wrong with trying to do stuff on multiple levels. But, like, when you have people, like, arguing back and forth with Sean King, all of a sudden it's like, Black Lives Matter leader argues with Sean King. It's like, what are y'all doing? I mean, I know I'm saying what the fuck a lot, but it's like the only thing I can think of that really encompasses.
I mean, think about the exchanges. Think about the exchanges between Ferguson, you know, activists and protesters and members of Black Lives Matter or Campaign Zero. You know, it's like people act like Ferguson doesn't even exist. You know what I'm saying? We are still very much the ground zero. We are the resistance. You know, things are still progressing. It's not mainstream. I think what's happened is like people who are like really like down, you know what I'm saying? Because it's almost to a point where for some people it's a pride thing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people learn, you know, tough lessons. You know, people got used. People had, you know, their trust betrayed. They had the loyalties betrayed. I mean, so to go through, the protest and just the trauma of all of that, and then to be exploited, and some of these people in such a public way, people are still feeling that, and that gets, that's the motivation, on top of the motivation that they already had. I mean, I critique Ferguson activists as much as I critique Black Lives Matter or Campaign Zero, as much as I can critique the establishment, as much as I critique Obama. But one thing that I do have to say about Ferguson is Ferguson has heart. St. Louis people have heart. They fight. They do fight. It's not just a situation where they're just talking about this, because it sounds good. They were out there. They were getting, tear gas. They went through that. They didn't get paid to jump on stage and snatch a mic. They weren't getting paid to get tear gas. You know what I'm saying? They were out there because, they believed, in their cause. They were out there because, they realized they could be Mike Brown. They could be the next Mike Brown, or they might have a Mike Brown in their family. So, it's, I don't know. It's when you think about, all of that, and you look at where we are today, and you see that, I mean, I can't even really say we've come a full circle, because we still have to see how this is going to play out, the rest of the year and throughout this election cycle. But it just seems like so many things are happening rapidly. You know what I'm saying? And even things that are starting to like slowly come out, in the left leaning media, like the Atlantic piece. And I don't know if you saw the alternate piece about D-Ray. Did you see that piece?
I have not seen that one yet. No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to read it.
Oh, wow. It's wow. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. But, yeah, that was another piece. So, it's starting, and it's only going to get worse. So you got to think about, it's already a circus right now, so can you imagine the closer we get to an election? Can you imagine, I mean, what if we have these brokered conventions, what if the Republicans are, you already know that's going to be a circus, but the Democrats, it could be a circus too, because what if Bernie doesn't concede? What if Hillary doesn't concede? What if the super delegates, back one over the other? So can you imagine that type of environment with this whole circus atmosphere going on, like already within the movement? It'll just be a free-for-all.
And this is ultimately the frightening thing to me, because it's like, yeah, we can talk about people from the outside doing stuff all day. It's like, yeah, we know COINTELPRO 2.0 is going down. We know it because, again, we live in this social media age where people are doing enough research from, various publications where they're like, hi, we got these papers. We'll summarize them nicely for you. We'll even connect you to them if you want to sit down and read them for a minute. But we got to look at what literally to me is the cancer within our own community. And that's people who are taking advantage of legitimate concerns and hurt and pain to just get a come up. To get a basic check, to essentially get some coin from people, and I think ultimately, because we've been talking about this so much offline and just with the way our schedules are, we've never had a chance to connect to really talk about this in a public forum that is needed, that this type of stuff had to get out there, because I think even when things were really going on, you only heard from so many people about what was happening in Ferguson.
Man, it was hundreds, thousands of people out there. It's like you did really think it's a coincidence that it's the same handful of folks. You know what I'm saying? I was out there, people like to say they were out there from day one. Day one, I wasn't in Canfield. I was outside the Ferguson Police Department, demanding accountability right there from jump. It's just... you couldn't script this stuff. It's like a very bad Saturday Night Live skit.
And, again, it's all just rolling out in public, and for me to see this stuff in public and at least once a week with somebody on a personal or social network level, It's like, what is this you're talking about? It's like, it's here. I'm not making stuff up. I wish I could write this well. I would be probably living a different life right now. Like, this stuff is right in front of our damn faces. Like, you got a Twitter feed. Click on this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, like, have
I
coming
tell
from
people,
radicalsource.com. It's coming
their
from the
own
Post.
words discredit them. Their own words, posts, tweets, all of that.
And I even think some of these folks who, again, might have good intention or might get caught up, they don't know what they're getting into. Like, for me, with D-Ray in Baltimore, I'm like, bruh, you don't know what you're getting into. Because the Democratic machine here in Maryland is crazy. You already got people coming at you for your ties with Teach for America and their particular agenda of what they do with schooling. And it's just like, this is just the beginning. They really don't like you. You're being used. And I think what's the most frightening is a lot of these cats might feel that they're getting the upper hand on people who've been doing this type of thing since time immemorial. Like, you don't think that you're going to be this, you think you're going to be the special one.
Yeah, they all think they're special because they haven't studied, so they don't know that this is like how they do. They come at you a certain way. They isolate you, they make you feel special. I mean, Al Sharpton, I don't know if you remember this piece or if you saw this piece. I think it was I want to say the New Yorker, but maybe not the New Yorker. It was in some piece where he was talking about, the movement in these particular people. And he said, it was like the relationship between a pimp and a hoe. And I'm like, what? Like he actually said that. Like that was actually in print. They quoted him where he was talking about how, they make him feel good and gas him up, essentially. And I think if anyone knows about, feeling good and getting paid off of that and all that, I think Al Sharpton would know.
Yeah, I'm about to say, he'd be the one to know game. After all the time, love or hate
he
him,
would
he would
definitely know
game.
game.
And this is just a scary thing about all this to me. Like, you see some people, I think, who are getting wise to it or don't want to be involved, like that young sister from Chicago who was supposed to be a part of that gathering of people. She was just there like, nah, I don't want to be used as a photo op. And that's that. And seeing people have their various feelings on that. I'm like, well, she's an independent woman. She can have whatever opinion she wants to have and do. But also, let's say, even if everything goes with the best of intentions, what does that mean ultimately at the end of the day? Especially if you haven't seen change occur. I personally felt a young lady was mad because she probably like, I ain't seen change occur. I've been living in the Crooked area forever. Yeah. And not much is happening, And I don't, nobody knows what the future brings or is going to hold. But I think it's a little frightening to see people already kind of get into a settled-in mode. Like, well, the second Al dies, that TV spot is mine mode. I can make money just talking and speaking forever.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's just a very unnerving thing to me that, if nothing else, feels disrespectful for all the folks that have passed away, period, much less the past few years, and much less from the origins of everything with Michael Brown's murder in Ferguson. But I got ranty, sorry. But yeah, it's just a strange thing, and I hope, with the feedback that you gave and everything, that, some folks are listening, and that we can make some change, or at least let's get some real transparency out there, yo. Like, let's not have this thing be like a damn money pit where nothing goes anywhere. I mean, you can at least have the money say where it's at, and if something succeeds, it succeeds. If it fails, it fails. But let people know. Don't keep taking. It's almost like you're taking advantage of people's good intentions when you do stuff like this. And eventually, people get mad, or you just don't got the money. After a while.
I mean, I think the insult on top of the injury is how they play. They flip it and try to play the victim role, to escape accountability. And it's like no one's personally attacking them. No one's attacking them personally. It's not about, class or the sexual orientation or anything like that. It's about, where's the money? You know what I'm saying? They have to understand they were not elected to any type of leadership position. You know, they can say they were invited into Ferguson, but you can't say that without saying who invited you. I mean, I know the masses of folks didn't invite you. I know the masses of people who were out there marching and everything did not invite you. You know, I would like to know who you met with, who told you it would be cool to come here and co-opt our movement and, you know, rebrand it and take these Ferguson faces on tour all over the world and take the attention off of Ferguson. You know, I want to know. You know, I'm sure everyone would like to know. You know, and who are the people you came here with? You know, why did they come here? Why was it important for them to come here when Ezell Ford, I mean, he had just gotten shot and killed in L.A. I mean, if police brutality was such a pressing issue for them, I mean, that was their opportunity right there, you know, in their own backyard, you know, and they could have marched down to the streets and demanded transparency and accountability, you know, and work for there. They didn't have to come to Ferguson unless, you know, they had an intention, you know, in mind, you know, beforehand.
Yeah, man. I think that's something that I think it's going to come out on its own, actually, in time.
Yeah.
I'm hoping sooner than later because, quite frankly, I think a lot of folks need answers. But I'm hoping it's not going to just make everything that legitimate that people have been talking about just get pushed by the wayside. Like, look at these crooked Negroes. Ignore the fact that people are still getting killed and beat and, you know, having their assets taken for no reason via asset forfeiture, and you can still harass a whole bunch of people and what have you because, you know, look at these folks now where you would just say, hey, I'm black, my life matters, let me beat you at a Trump rally or something like that. Just because of, you know, and it would be aided by nonsense that might come out from these various individuals and organizations. Ooh, I'm scanning this Advocate article. Man, listen.
Yeah, that article is,
Yeah, more ranting on the show. I see. But, my scanning is definitely bringing up one of the annoyance points we talked about earlier, where it's just there, like, why are you being more divisive in an organization that needs unity?
Exactly. I mean, and that right there should tell you that there are other, you know, interests, other motives.
You know. And this does not mean you can't represent yourself or whatever else, because I do know there's a whole lot of a thing going on with, you know, sexism and all other types of stuff, but I'm looking at this, I'm like, there's a heavy spin.
But you don't have the right to co-opt the efforts of a community because you have a cause. You know, you can't, you don't get to do that. And essentially what happened is, like, you know, they co-opted our movement, and then it's kind of like it became the black, gay, lesbian, transgender, you know, movement, you know, which is totally separate, you know what I'm saying? Because under the struggle for black liberation, you know, from systemic racism, there is no distinction. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're going to say, you know, I don't know, if the Klan came, they would be like, well, you know, the black women are cool, you know, but the black gay women we're going to kill. You know what I'm saying? Or you know, the black gay men we're going to kill, but we're going to not kill. It doesn't work like that. You know, so the one thing we should do, especially when you look at the issue of something like police brutality, we should all be united. You know, there should be no division. We need all hands on deck.
It should be black people are being killed. Innocent people
exactly,
are being
period,
killed.
in the discussion. Exactly, period. You know, and the fact that it isn't, and it's all these other things, and it's, why? You know, why?
And I think that's a legitimate question, and I think it's one of the ways that people are being used. I personally believe it's people being used. I don't necessarily believe it's folks just trying to, like, fit in where they can get in terms of the intersectionality hustle. Whereas if they're like, yo, you should be like, these people are getting killed. I don't give a fuck who they like sexually. They're getting killed.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck who you like in bed as a leader. As long as you're being a leader, then Hooray! If you want to represent that part too, I ain't mad at it. It's not hurting my
Well,
feelings,
I'm
but it's not
not,
supposed to be there like
my
I'm whatever,
thing,
whatever. You know.
What's upsetting to me is, the hypocrisy and the contradiction, and you can see it because for them to insert themselves in the positions that they did within the movement, and then come out and say that it's about black women or it's about black gays or transgender, or whatever. It's like that's not represented. I mean, the numbers, that they are in leadership position is not represented, with the community that they claim to serve. You know what I'm saying? I mean, percentage wise, like the majority of black people are not gay. So how can you have a movement where the majority of people in leadership, for this black civil rights movement, are gay? And you can't just say, well, gay people's, and I think I read this in the Medium piece, or maybe it was even in the Atlantic piece, or it could have been in both, where they were saying that, works or efforts by, gay black activists have been erased. I don't necessarily believe that they were erased. I think that people, when you're united, it just doesn't matter. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter because you have unity. We're all black. We're all fighting for black issues. You know what I'm saying? Across the board. Black people didn't oppress gay black people. Black people, didn't have the power to say whether or not they could get married or get on their loved one's insurance policy. We didn't have that type of power. So for them to come in and just completely take over our movement, I feel like that's as oppressive, for us as the establishment. You know what I'm saying? Because these people don't represent us. They're not even reflective of us. You know what I'm saying? Not even in the numbers. And that's just strictly talking from, remove the emotion, because I know that what I just said is probably going to be upsetting to certain people. And it has nothing to do with whether you're gay or not. What it has to do with is if you are in a leadership position, whoever's in that leadership position, they should be represented, at least proportionately, with the people that they claim to represent.
My thing on it is pretty basic, where I'm here like, you are a black man, you are a black woman. If we are at the point where sexuality doesn't matter in secular society or whatever have you, then, you should be like, look, I'm just here for black people. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. There you go.
I don't care where you are. I'm here for black people. Yes, I myself may be A, B, C, D, or E, but it's about black people. I don't have to be, separatist about, well, because I'm this, I want to represent
black people.
This more, because nobody is doing that when you're on the street. A black trans person can get shot as easy as a black homosexual, as easy as a black heterosexual of any sexuality. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, I personally feel that some of these folks are being used more in that regard, because while we've been talking, I've been skimming this Advocate article. I'm like, somebody is pushing something that you're not aware of. You know what I'm saying? In regards to this. Nobody's saying you can't be there like, I'm a black gay man. Nobody is saying that. It's 2016. Who the fuck cares, in all honesty? You know what I'm saying? If you really want to be hit brass tacks. But it's like, why is somebody trying to push that aspect of things more than your overall cause?
Well, that and what gives you the right to come and hijack someone else, what someone else has going on already.
And what gives you that right in general? What gives you the right to even necessarily say I'm representing black gay men on this level?
Exactly.
Where I'm like, that's not my angle of stuff or whatever. That's not what I represent. But I'm like, I'm sure there's some folks who are just there like, you're representing what I'm representing. Or I don't know enough about you to say this, even if you got, mad Twitter followers or if you're on TV or whatever else. Like, I feel the frightening thing of all this is that ultimately some of these folks, while they're getting good things from all this, might just be clueless about when that bottom drops. Because let's keep it really honest, and I think that's one of the things we got to look at, post-Ferguson too, is however we may feel about President Obama, that era is going to be over by January of 2017. And a lot of these concerns that have come out in the public, for good, bad, or indifferent, I don't really trust the other presidential nominees when they get to see the power to pay as much attention, even if it's just surface, as President Obama and his administration has. And it's one of those big reasons why I'm like, we really need to get shit together. We really got to get shit together, because if we feel that progress was minuscule after 8 years where there was actually a black American president who at least on some level cared, you damn sure ain't going to get it with anybody who went to the G.O.P. I don't give a damn who they put in there. And with Hillary or Bernie, they may have some care as general human beings, but they're not going to care as much as another black person. So people got to get their shit in line and get their stories in line, and at the very least, get mature. With what's what. And also, I think ultimately one of the big lessons of Ferguson, from my viewpoint from the outside looking in, is local work and collectivization has to happen. You can't depend on these cats, who are on the TV screens all the time. I think sometimes we fall into that trap of celebrity, and the folks who have fame are supposed to take care of us. That's not how shit works. That's not how it's ever really worked.
Someone or the elected officials, like they're our moms. It's like this infantile, relationship or something, where we have to wait for someone to do for us. I think we have a lot of power, and I don't think we tap into it nearly, as much as we can to make it beneficial for us. But I think, a big part of that is that, look at all the things that we experience every day. Just systemic racism, just the trauma from that, to live in this country, I'm sure black people have, post-traumatic stress disorder, that's been passed down from generation to generation. So on one hand, you're just going through it all the time, you know what I'm saying? You don't really have time to even think about things on a certain level until bam, it slaps you in the face.
No doubt. And I think one thing we got to get out of everything is it's good to react to stuff. You're going to have to react when bullshit happens, but you can't be just purely reactionary.
And that's what we are. We're for the most part, it's a reactionary type thing. We react and we got to get out of our feelings. We got to stop being so emotional, and so easily controlled and led astray, by our emotions. And just the whole engaging in symbolic action. I'm not really feeling that part of the movement, especially the symbolic action that is designed to, bring individuals, into prominence. It's just too much of that. We got all these little movement celebrities now. This person is famous for climbing and snatching a flag down. This person is famous for snatching a mic. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's just a want to have somebody publicly out there all the time, which I think is, if you got the power to put a message out there that other people don't, I think that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But they're not the only people who can do stuff. Like when I saw people tripping about the Beyonce. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, we have to get beyond that to doing things that will change our circumstance. Because I think right now we're doing a little too much celebrating, a little too much of the easy stuff. You know what I'm saying? That stuff is really easy, but it doesn't contribute to changing our circumstance. We have to focus on the things that are going to change our circumstance. And then when we work on that a little bit more, then, we probably won't even need symbolic actions, because our very real actions, will have produced results.
No doubt. Because, I look at stuff, and we have a society that gets mad when you just do symbolic actions where I'm like, I'm a black person, I'm a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people were tripping over the Beyonce Super Bowl joint. I'm like, y'all do realize this song ain't revolutionary for shit, right? I'm not saying everything has to be by any way, shape, or form. But I'm like, just the fact that people came out like, yo, we're marching out here in the accent like, Black Panther-esque type of shit. And we got some dancers holding a sign. You got people like, holy shit, it's the worst thing ever. Imagine that type of shit. We doing like some hardcore shit in your community and above. Like, everybody's not going to always be out on the street or whatever, but there's multiple ways you can help out your community. And I think when people get to that point where it's like up and down, it's with good intent, that's when the big sea change is going to happen. You got a bunch of organizations who are still using the blueprint that we used in the 50s and 60s to make their progress in the 2000s.
Yep.
This means we know some shit. You know what I'm saying? We just got to, get back to it and upgrade some stuff. Like me and my partner John had this conversation all the time about that. Where it's like, well, they did some old shit black folks did in the 60s and 70s. Like, yeah, we gotta get back in that motion.
Well, we got work to do. We have our work cut out for us.
But
that's for sure.
No doubt. But I think there's people like us and plenty more who, are able to look at stuff from the outside and bring, that nonsense out there as well as nonsense that's happening on the inside and try to purge it out. And that mix of both, I think, is ultimately what's going to make the difference. And hopefully, in a few years, we can talk about Ferguson being better and the United States as a whole being better and whatever else. And be those old folks who are like, woo, at least it's not as shitty as it was back in the day.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want. Now whether or not that will be the case, time will tell.
Time will definitely tell. I'm hoping and working for the latter, But we will see. I don't want to be old and be like, damn, I'm in the same shit my parents were on. We just got different signs, But time will tell.
Well, I think as long as people are active, you know what I'm saying, that we will continue to make progress. I mean, because people evolve. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we stay stuck, in such a rigid place. People grow, evolve. We spread out. What I'm liking is that, people are waking up, and I hate using that term, waking up. People are becoming more socially aware, engaging, in everything from, engaging within their own communities, whether it's in politics or whatever. Now, we may not all agree on which one of those is the avenue, that will lead to change or whatever, but just the fact that people are out, trying so many different things. And as long as they continue to do that, I think we have a chance, a really good chance at change, because we're going to go through a lot. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. It's not going to be like one solution. It's going to require lots of solutions and chipping away, you know what I'm saying? Because nothing just happens, like at the snap of the fingers, unless we go to war or something like that, and it totally changes the dynamics of the whole country. You know what I'm saying? Anything short of that, it's going to be something that's going to take time.
No doubt. And again, I hate the term woke. I think too many Ashy Hoteps use that term. And they're an entire other conversation for another day.
Oh boy, please don't get me started on them.
Talking about cancers in the community.
But why do they have to be ashy though?
Hey man, if you write and you a nice brown and black mentality, you ain't gonna be ashy and dry and just spitting other nonsense. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna do misogyny and blackface. You know what I'm saying? Which is what unfortunately some of them brothers are on. But yeah,
I mean,
again,
they're
for another
clowns.
day. People see my Facebook, they be knowing.
And you know what? It's funny to me when guys say. I had someone tell me, I'm trying to think of who it was, they took offense at like, when you call them Hotep brothers or whatever. And I'm like, we're talking about specific types. Who are the types that we're talking about? The ones who embody those characteristics, If you don't embody those, then we are not talking about you.
This is why I say Ashy Hotep. Because people who listen to the show know, my brother John be on the metaphysics tip with certain stuff. And one day he got a little pissed at me. I'm like, let me explain this Ashy Hotep thing to you. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm like, I wouldn't even be talking to you if you were that dude. We wouldn't have known each other for damn near 12 plus years if you were that dude and I'm just there like, really? Much less even talking on my show. Get the fuck out of my face. I don't care how good your music is. But, you know, that's another cancer that had to be eliminated, guys, and we haven't seen that yet with these other movements, and I hope we don't, because Jesus Christ, if you think there's fodder now for people to tear folks up, good Lord. Some of y'all brothers, read a book. Don't just look at, you know, YouTube memes and other stuff. But anyway, you know, this was not an Ashley Hotep conversation. This was on some other various stuff. But, man, thank you definitely for calling in and doing this interview. I know you're a traveling woman. I know you're busy doing a whole bunch of stuff. I know you fend off a bunch of these nonsense people, at least on Facebook and other stuff, every single day by bringing the real
You know what?
info
It's like I can't stop. It's like we're bombarded with so much. If it's not propaganda in the media, you know what I'm saying? If it's not, you know, elected officials or the establishment trying to make some slick move when no one's watching. You know, we also have to deal with, you know, the narrative that people within the movement are trying to construct now. Like the people who hijacked the movement, the people we're talking about right now are trying to jump out in front of, you know, the calls for transparency and accountability. You know, and we can't allow that to happen. You know, so you have to do this every day. I mean, to even stop for 1 minute, you know, it's so much is happening, and not just in Ferguson, in Chicago, you know, in Baltimore, you know, the police there are on trial. I mean, there are things happening, you know, everywhere.
Yeah, man, it's a grind. Some people do not understand how this grind is. They're like, no, I know too much. I had to let other people know too, and all of that, so they can make their own decisions and thoughts and things. It's a mission. It's sincerely and truly a mission.
And what I would suggest people do is not just blindly take anyone's word. I mean, not even mine. You know, like I said, they can go and check timelines. You know, check Twitter feeds, see who flipped the script, you know, see who was talking one thing then and he's talking another thing now, see who did a complete, you know, 180. You know, you can, they'll see. You know, they will see. The information is there if anyone wants to find it. You know, it's only difficult, you know, when people choose to ignore or just don't want to deal with it for whatever reason.
No doubt. I mean, a lot of this thing, ultimately, when we do these things with media, is to have you get into some conversation, for other people to do research or whatnot into the stuff we're talking about. As we always say on the show, you don't got to agree with a damn thing we're talking about. But if it gets you to talking and doing some research, we've done our job. And I definitely hope with this interview, where we touch base on a whole bunch of stuff, folks go on ahead and you know, do their job. One of the scariest things in the world for people is a person with a, you know, who can critically think and have their own independent mind. And we want to have more of those people around instead of, you know, just automations looking at, you know, mainstream media or like listening to some, you know, demagogue or something on their various media outlet of choice. Now, speaking of dope media outlets, can you tell the folks how they can check out the work that you're doing?
They can go to handsupdon'tshoot.com. Right now, I mean, the platform is still being constructed, but we have archived, thousands, of articles, you know, and media analysis and commentary and just some of the things that are going on, within Ferguson. So they can go there. They can follow, me on Facebook, B-Gyrl for Life, B-G-Y-R-L. And then FORLIFE. If they type that in, it should, my name should pop up, or the Hands Up Don't Shoot Facebook page, or the STL Hip Hop page. STL Hip Hop, is a local music site. It has been covering, Ferguson. I mean, STL Hip Hop has been about issues in St. Louis even before Mike Brown. So, the fact that it's exclusively now, like really on at least, on Facebook. You can get all movement information and things like that. But if you go to the website, I mean, we still have, content from St. Louis and just, throughout the Midwest. Twitter, hands up, don't shoot without the T. And you know what? I wish Twitter would just allow you to just make your name whatever you want. All these little, restrictions and you can only use so many letters. That's why I don't tweet. I can't break things down in 140 characters.
No, I just share stories. I just share stories there that I'm like, if y'all want to see me rant about something, go on to Facebook. Or listen to the show.
Definitely Facebook and the website.
Okay, cool. So y'all heard it, and y'all will definitely see all the links to these wonderful sites in the show notes once we have this podcast on and rolling. And any other media projects or other stuff coming up?
Well, we are in the process of launching, the official launch for Hands Up Don't Shoot Radio. And we're just looking for movement music, or if people have political or social commentary they would like to contribute. The station is already live on iTunes Radio. You can go to the website, check it out. I believe it's on Windows Media, and it's being added to other platforms. So what we're looking for right now is just, movement music, like artists. A lot of artists, are very active. They're very socially aware, and they have something they want to say, and their voices should be heard. All
right, no doubt. Y'all heard that here. Don't send whack music. Again, I've known B-Gyrl since MP3.com days, and I know she is not beat for garbagey music. I don't care if you got a message behind it, okay? Your movement music still has to be good, guys. Some people forget that.
Yes, definitely. People got to understand, this is going to be the soundtrack of the era, so really, put some thought into it, some thought, some heart, some soul.
No doubt. Have all of that. Have some beats and know how to make a song, okay? Because these are conversations I've had with people before.
Don't have like a long intro. I don't want to hear a 2-minute intro. No, let me stop. I'm just playing now. But
she really
definitely check out the station. If you have the TuneIn app, just search for Hands Up Don't Shoot radio, and it's really amazing because when you listen to the station and you hear these songs that are about Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin, or just the issue of police brutality, Ferguson, George Zimmerman, Trayvon, it's like, it's just an incredible experience. Like I say, it just does something for the soul.
No doubt. So everybody, definitely check out all the wonderful outlets that B-Gyrl is doing her thing on and all that good stuff. Again, we'll link all of that to the show notes with the upcoming podcast and everything. And definitely, since I know you're always on the road doing something, thanks for taking out time to do this, man. I'm so glad we're finally able to touch base.
Finally. And thanks for having me. Thanks for your platform and giving me the opportunity to let people know, what's really happening.
No doubt. And, again, definitely thanks for all the support you've given us here at the FuseBox Radio from its very beginnings, damn near.
Oh, man, I remember that. Rutgers University. What is it? I remember that.
Rutgers U from when I was a student to me being an older person now. Not that much older.
Yeah.
Older person.
Yeah, no, you're up there. Now I'm telling your age.
I want to have people like don't get it jacked up. I'm in my 30s. I've said that, but I'm not waving my cane around either. Okay. Let's let it be known
that's true.
None of us are going gray here, not just yet. Even with all the stress we go through, we're not going gray. So.
Oh well, I'm telling you, I got a little. Well, I call it my wisdom. I'm showing my wisdom. It's like, wow, but, it's been a long time, man. I remember when I first stumbled upon the Fuse, I didn't even know what a podcast was. You know what I'm saying? That's how long you've been online. It's like, what is this?
Yeah,
and you've done it consistently for so many years, man. How many episodes do you think you have that you've done?
Man, let's see here. I started the show in '98. This April will be shit.
Wow.
My show's a teenager. What the fuck? Okay. Yeah.
See, that's almost 20 years.
About 20 years. It'll be 18 years around April of this year when I first actually started doing the show. The podcast we've been doing at least for over 8 or 9 years when we first started getting with Podomatic. I'll have to check that one day.
Yeah, man. Podomatic, mp3.com.
Yeah, we live through technology, y'all. All y'all who think it's easy to do this mess. It really isn't. I mean, I know with y'all, actually. You one of the first people I know who doing independent net radio station. Back in the day.
And just to see, that evolved, into the whole streaming Pandora and all that stuff we see today.
It was like, wow, what's an MP3 player? An iPod? God damn, that's expensive. Now it's like,
what really got me was Live 365 closing.
Yeah, that was one of the things that made me feel ancient, because I was there like, damn, y'all been doing this since 99. Holy crap.
I know. I mean, my first stations were on mp3.com. And that's really where I would say a lot of my websites, were started. But, the actual like streaming stations, were all started on, live365.com. As a matter of fact, I've only had one station go to number 1 on Live365, and I've had lots of stations on there. I've only had one go, to number 1, in the hip hop charts. And, they had like thousands of stations, and guess which station that was? And I'm asking you because I know you're familiar with my different sites and things like that, but guess which one?
Man, you had like 1,000 back in the day.
STL Hip Hop. STL Hip Hop. Yeah, it's really amazing. People, St. Louis has a lot of talent. The problem is, and it's the same problem in other like cities with things that are trying to come up. It's just a lack of just knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Because artists, they've only experienced things at a certain level. And they're not dealing with people who, it's not like really a lot of people who have like industry experience at the higher levels, that work with these people and bring them up. And the reason for a lot of that is that a lot of those people who were the innovators were pushed out. So now these things are left with people who just, they're either doing the award hustle, or the performance sell tickets, or, they're not really dealing with, developing artists, and educating them and teaching them and getting them industry ready. It's more like the accolades,
Yeah, and it's a sad thing that I think is happening in a lot of areas. I definitely see it where I currently am right now. And, Jersey, dear God, Jersey had its own issues that are like bananas being right between Philly and New York. But local areas are interesting. I know with your work you did in St. Louis, I know you and a bunch of other folks tried so hard. It's just they're like, look, I can't baby you. You know what I'm saying? Either you're going to be about your work or you're not. And unfortunately, a lot of people I don't think are about the work. They're like, I rhyme, I'm supposed to be a star. And it's like there's so much more to stuff than that. Even if you have a quote-unquote hit, there's so much more that has to go on. That's when you see some of these folks who are just like, oh, I hear about an area. You're thinking about somebody 10 to 15 years ago. It's like, no, there's still talent, but it's not crafted a certain way. Even in the current internet age where it's so much more easier for you to distribute your music, put it out there. Speaking of mp3.com, being one of those first places that was like that. But there's so much more competition now,
Yeah, but the flip side of that is, the fact that it's so easy to do this stuff and this stuff is so, accessible, everybody's doing it, So everybody's, doing it. People aren't, standing out. People, you know what I think it is? I think right now, because it's so easy and because anybody can do it and because I was going to say the bar has been set low, but in some cases the bar doesn't even exist. that people just feel like this is their own little reality show, you know? You know, them being a rapper or a singer or whatever, the social media presence, you know, YouTube and likes and followers and all of that, you know, Instagram, it's their own private Idaho. It's their own private little, you know, reality show. In their minds, they are the Kardashians, they are Kanye, they are Jay and Beyonce. They're all that. They got everything they got.
And that would be cute if they actually made good music and or money. But it's not necessarily
I purposely didn't say anything about the quality of the music.
You know, if you were at least eating, I'd be like, you know what, this could suck to me because it could ultimately be subjective with music. But it's like, y'all, like, I mean, for me, I don't know.
Even if you were even if you were whack, if you did your stuff right, you know what I'm saying, I think that you would get to a point where you would at least be decent. I'm not saying that you're going to be good, you know what I'm saying, but at least you can, I mean, listen to the radio. I mean, there's a lot of whack stuff on the radio, so you can't tell me there's not an audience. You know what I'm saying? Somebody may like it, you know, but at least, you know, present yourself as polished as possible.
Polished and with home training. Which is
home training is very vital.
Like, do you know how far you would get if you just didn't act like a dick with some of this music? Just for the sake of me being there, like, I might not like this, but so-and-so may, and if they ask me about you, I'll tell them my opinion, because people know who I am and how I am. But I'll be there like, look, they had some manners. They acted decently and professionally. You may want to give them a chance. And they're like, oh, your music is whack, and you're acting like a rancid bastard. No, that's not how life works.
Well, first, they don't understand that, like, a lot of us online know each other, especially those of us who have been around, like, from the early days of hip-hop online. You know, and I don't know, man, this whole sense of entitlement, you know, I walked away, you know, from the local scene. You know, just because it just got to a point where it was like becoming counterproductive. You know, the whole purpose of being in the scene, you know, is create a platform and create an environment, you know, that where artists could, you know, develop, you know, because labels stopped developing artists, you know, a long time ago. Well, you know, an environment where they could, learn, you know, how to be media savvy, you know, learn how to brand themselves, you know, how to package themselves, like how to conduct themselves, how to establish business relationships, you know, and it just really, artists weren't interested in that. And it was sad because this is during the time I used to get hit up all the time from major labels. You know, they would ask me about specific artists, or if there were some artists, you know, I wanted them to check out. And it just got to a point because, you know, the people they were calling, you know, about I've had encounters with, you know, and they were just assholes. You know, so, you know, I never told anyone, like, not to work with anyone, you know, but I wasn't co-signing people, you know?
No doubt. And y'all get some free music advice while we're doing this, too, so
okay.
Y'all lucky to sit down and listen to this right now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in all seriousness, like, and this is something I always tell music folks, I'm like, you don't know who knows who and who is connected to what. Or where somebody could be in a few years. You don't know. And people have memories, and as you perfectly said, everybody talks. One way or the other, everybody talks. And it's easier to actually talk now than back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And somebody's like tweeting like, yo, so-and-so was kind of a dick. Hey, girl, they were a dick too, at so-and-so. I experienced that. Next thing you know.
But you know what happens to me? I'm going to tell you what I get a lot. What I get a lot is because people may not know that I own the sites that I own. Like, someone may hit me up at one site and be a total asshole and then turn around and hit me up on another one of my sites, not knowing, you know what I'm saying? You're still hitting us up, you know what I'm saying? And we talk, you know, because when they come to us and if they're a certain way, I don't care which site they come. It could be from, you know, STL Hip Hop. It could be from unsignedhype.org. It could be from Planet Hip Hop. And if you're an asshole, You know, for example, with Mike at unsignedhype.org, I know about it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, who better may know about it at STL Hip Hop? You know what I'm saying? And other people may know it. You know, different people that I work with, you know, from not just coast to coast around the world. That's the part they don't understand. You know, and they also don't get that, like, these relationships go back years, you know, and it takes time to develop the relationships, and you're going to need those relationships. And the reason a lot of artists don't get on, or if when they do get on, they can't maintain, is because they haven't developed the relationship, or they already burnt the bridge before they even got on.
No doubt. And
because I'm gonna tell you, I got people. I have people who have burned bridges with me, you know, and they can only get so far. You know what I'm saying? Because I control a certain avenue, you know, and if I'm not working that avenue, you're just going to be stuck, you know, at a certain level.
I'm one of those people, I tell folks, I'm like, I'm not going to be the one that's loud or vengeful or anything else, but I have a memory. And if somebody asks me stuff, I'm going to tell them things. There's people I'm like, I wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. I'm just not going to make a scene of it. That's all it is, depending on how crazy that you acted.
Yeah.
I still have archive interviews from people who acted stupid. And I'm like, I will never put this on because you're not getting free promotion through my outlet because you acted like an idiot.
Exactly. I had someone hit me up, you know, not too long ago. Well, actually, they hit up one of the, I think it was the STL Hip Hop Facebook page, and then they had someone hit me up at one of my personal pages. I think it was my B-Gyrl for Life Facebook page. And, you know, this guy is talking about, at first I didn't even understand what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? I had to get, like, what? And it turns out he's doing something with the major artist, and we interviewed him. He was interviewed for STL Hip Hop, I don't know, girl, it had to be like 7 or 8 years ago, you know, and he wants us to remove the video because he's got a new song coming out with this major artist, and he doesn't want people to be confused. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Because for one, I mean, nobody's checking for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have the presence that you think you have. And even if people are checking for you, it's not my fault if the interview that you did on STL Hip Hop comes up first in the search results. I'm not going to take that down so that your new single can come up first. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. You know, why would I remove something? And why, I mean, do you even care about, I mean, it's not like these guys have a lot of early content. I mean, especially from St. Louis, because we were, you know, the first to really start promoting these guys. And some of these guys weren't even on the scene. You know, some of these guys hadn't even started rapping. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is just archived. And I feel like, you know, just from a historical aspect, like, don't ask me to remove something. You know, once it's in there, it's in there. It's like a time capsule.
If anything, you just want people to be like, holy crap, they really improved. If worse comes to worse. You know, that's just me. Like, I just think I'm one of those people where I'm just like, look, you respect me, I'll give you respect. It's a very, very simple thing and notion, and there's people, even if I haven't worked with them for me, I'd be like, look, they didn't act a fool. I will at least tell you they didn't act a fool. They got other good stuff going on, they got other good stuff going on. Now, if you're a fool and whatever you do sucks, whether it's music, PR, etc., I'm going to say that plainly too, and I'll probably say it stronger because you pissed me off, and not too many people piss me off like that. Like, I'm like, you're mediocre, but don't piss me off.
I was gonna say that. Like, usually, you know, for you to go off like something, they really had to take you to a certain point. You're different from me because I'm a total spaz, you know, so that's what I do. I spaz out and I have to get it out. And I'm just at a point right now where, like, even to deal with artists at certain levels, I just can't. I don't have the energy to go through the growing pains. And it's not to take anything away from them. It's just to say that where I am right now, I can't go through the growing pains stage. And it's really sad, man, because in the bigger picture, there's a lot of, knowledge that's not being passed down, like from old heads to younger heads. There's a lot of knowledge that's not being passed down as a result of all this stuff.
It does get detrimental, because I think you sit there and you try to pass on things, but then you also just get tired. Like, I'm at the stage right now, again, I'm in my upper 30s, where I could talk to various people who are my contemporaries for a few years back to, a few years ahead, and you just have people who just get burnt out. Or it's like, I put in my time, I've done all of these showcases, and I've talked to a bunch of people, and I've done consulting, I've done this, that, and the third, and I've tried to tell people, hey, you should at least submit your music in a particular way if you're not going to listen to anything else. You've been to panels, you've been to hip-hop conferences, local and other type of things, and then you sometimes just get to a point where they're like, yo, you know what? This is irritating, period.
Yes.
I have other concerns in my life where, me in the past few years, I've had family members get sick of God knows what. I'm like, some hip-hop rugrat is not my fucking concern. You know what I'm saying? And then you just get to a point where they're like, yo, on top of that, with some cats, especially in the hip-hop realm, I don't know how it is in the other music realms to a high degree. I've only dealt with those on certain levels. But in the hip-hop, I'm dealing with all this shit, and I'm not even eating properly.
Yeah, that's what makes it so crazy. I mean, for me, it was like,
and it's not all about money, but you had that time where you're like, I'm going through a whole bunch of nonsense that if I was consulting with somebody else, I can make major money, because I'm sure you probably run into one or two people like, look, I really see something in you. I'm going to try to help you out the best way I can. But when stuff gets nonsensical, or that PayPal deposit doesn't come in on time, or you don't even get a thank you after helping out people, because some people don't even give the thank yous. Like, you don't want to feel that you're broke and you're not appreciated.
Girl, I'm going to tell you, I used to go so hard for St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? So hard. And I've done so many firsts there, and it's ridiculous. But what happened to me is, it's like, people, they take stuff for granted. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they take things for granted. They don't want to support. They don't want to build. They don't want to invest in. They think they can do what you do, and it just got to a point for me where it's like, first of all, I'm not in competition with any of you. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing is creating the platforms to push your content. And that's how I originally, like when I started way back when, even going back to mp3.com, what I did was index, different subgenres of hip hop, even down to the culture. I mean, not just rap music. And, that's how my different sites, came about, whether it was B-Gyrl for females or, Planet Hip Hop for international. But Planet Hip Hop really started out as a conscious hip hop site. It still is, conscious. We're just transforming into more like, international. You know what I'm saying? Or thedirtysouth.com. I mean, just really, whatever. So what I'm doing now and what I decided to do as a result of just all the different types of shit that was going on and just fucking and stuff is like, you know what? I'm going to start, preparing for where the industry is going to be within the next, 2 to 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Which is essentially what I did back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And that's what set me apart, because I could tell certain trends were going to happen, and I was always in front of those trends. And that's how, I was able to get on with Microsoft Music. People don't know this. Like, I got one of the first digital distribution deals ever. You know what I'm saying? This was before iTunes. This was through Microsoft Music. I think they had Sony, some other people. And I had three of my platforms. It was the Hip Hop Tracks, the Unsigned Hype, and Diggable Records, where we were handling, you know what I'm saying? We were doing the digital distribution. It wasn't Puffy. It wasn't 50. It wasn't GU. You know what I'm saying? It was me, and that came from, my days on mp3.com, indexing and archiving. And I see the same type of transition happening now within the industry. You know, we have all of these different mediums where you know, social media, tablets, you know, all these different apps. I mean, even TVs have apps now. You know, so once again, my job is to create, you know, the different platforms to push all of this different content. Whether you're trying to push it online, whether you're trying to push it through smart TVs, you know what I'm saying? Like connecting, well, bridging the gap between like indies and the techies. You know what I'm saying? You look at the deals that like Dr. Dre and Jay-Z are making. You know what I'm saying? And of course, like indies and up and coming artists aren't going to make those types of deals, but they can still have, you know, that type of access to some of these major, you know, tech companies.
Now, that's one thing. That's entire strange scenario too. It could be a whole other conversation. There's a lot of people who lay down foundations for how various stuff functions in this day and are just really ignored, or that period of time, which again makes me feel old right now. I'm just there like, damn. I remember when we first started podcasting, and I'm having a few net stations carry it. People that they're like, nobody's gonna listen to that shit through no internet.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody fucking with MP3 players like
that.
I
have people tell me, oh, you doing MP3s, you're doing that free shit.
Like, oh, that's cute. And then it became
I had someone tell me that, like, we out here, we in the streets. You know, burning CDs and all of that, you know, but, like I said, it's transitioning right now, and we have to adapt, you know, even more than adapting, we have to start controlling some of our lanes, you know, so that's why I'm jumping out here, you know, well in advance so that, you know, we can control, you know, not the majors, not Universal, because, you know, these guys have been trying to get their hands like, they've been trying to put a stranglehold on the online game forever, but they haven't been successful. You know, so this is where we can level the playing field.
No doubt. This one of the few lanes
I'm going to put it like some of us. I'm going to put it like this. The problem with Jay-Z and Tidal and things like that is that that revolution isn't going to come from artists, because artists are artists. And even if artists are great businessmen, okay, they're not techies. You know, this is the era of the tech heads. You know what I'm saying? The techies, you know, are coming into fruition. So you have to have people understand the culture. You know, they are of the culture. They understand the entertainment industry. They understand the technical aspects, you know, technology, social media. You have to have those people to bridge the gap, to make all this stuff gel. And I really think that that's why, you know, the labels have been where they failed, because they don't cover all those bases. You know, they just want to look at the how can we put this product in this platform and push it out, you know, and profit, and it takes more than that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that people do get a loss of with everything. It's like, it's still a process. It's easier to get stuff done on some levels, but it's still a huge process. And while it's easier for you, it's easier for everybody else to do stuff. You still got to have strategy. You still got to have some professionalism with your stuff. I mean, in this day and age, for me to have somebody send a track and it says track1.mp3.
Oh, oh my God, I hate that.
I want to punch you in the face, because I'm like, it's
How
2016
do you not
now.
Properly tag an MP3?
Like, it's your song.
I don't know the name of your song. You know what I'm saying? Don't send me stuff that's not properly tagged, you know, and it upsets me, because even if I'm like, okay, I hear something, I like it, you know, I put it on the station, you know, and I don't know if artists understand that however your MP3 is tagged, or if it isn't tagged, if you don't have someone, you know, actively checking that, like when your song comes up, people aren't going to even know who you are, because there's not going to be any metadata. There's not going to be any information.
Like, it's the least you can do.
It's the least you can do. And I've had people like I'll hear a song, every now and then, it's like, you know, I might dig through and find somebody, okay, I'm going to run with this person. and you get it, and you're working with it, and everything, and people, oh God, how can I say this? Artists. Let me stop, because I don't want artists to think that I'm just like totally ripping on artists, but it's like these are just things that they need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because it does matter. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to do this. I don't care how easy the technology gets, you're still going to have to have the relationships, create and maintain and nurture, relationships. And if you're not professional, if you're not doing the minimum to help people who are trying to help you, and definitely if you're not trying to offset the cost, so many outlets are shutting down and closing their doors. You know what I'm saying? So many indie outlets we're losing, because it takes money to do this stuff, and artists have to financially support the institutions that provide outlets for them.
No doubt. All of this is very, very true stuff. And again, respect the people who are helping you, yo. End of the day, it's all a cycle, and it's all a circle. Don't be that cat who goes on these, for the few DJ coalitions that are still about stuff, that had to go on these calls, like, mad later, and because you didn't keep that foundation together. When you first hit the track, you put out something, you got on a few blogs, which I still don't know why people think that means they could be brand new, but anyway, you get the acting brand new, you might actually get a little bit of play, and then when everything dies down, you get sedity, you're like, I can only talk to the big boys. Later on, you're trying to come back, you're trying to go through the same cycle. It's a simple thing, you guys. Don't be a dick. We know you're not going to, even if you are the most successful artist, your shit's not always going to be in the Billboard.
You know what it is they don't understand? They don't understand there's levels to this. Like, there's a level, and you deal with people at every level. And at the level where they encounter people like us, I think we're like the first, like, we're like the bridge between the underground and the industry, So when they come to us, they have their eyes set at the big boys. They don't know that we prepare them to deal with the big boys. You know what I'm saying? So, when they make it, they forget that there were steps that they had to take, So when they fall off, now all of a sudden they're right back where they started, and they got to go up that same ladder again, And this time, if you screw people over, if you were an asshole or whatever your problem was, you're going to get stuck because you're not going to be able to advance beyond that point. Especially when the money runs out, because it's the people at our level, you know what I'm saying, that helps these cats maintain while they're trying to figure some stuff out, because the big boys are not going to mess with them if they ain't got no budget. You know that. They're not going to mess with them if they don't have a budget.
Like, you literally had to build and make up your own career. And having a foundation is truly key. Because the first thing, even if you talk about the quote-unquote majors, they're going to be like, well, who's paying attention to you? Who's listening to stuff? Because you got a few A&Rs who still do it the old school way.
I got 5 million Twitter followers.
Yeah, you can buy fake followers. Nobody cares about that. I mean, it's nice to have if they're actually interacting with your stuff, because people can search all that now, which is a whole other thing. If you're buying fake followers, you're an idiot. Get yourself a good meal, because you'll be spending your money on better than buying 5,000 to 1,000 fake followers. That's retarded. But
what gets to me are the ones who, it's like they don't even try to hide it. Like, if you go to someone's page and they got all these views, like 50,000 views, but 17 likes.
Yeah, come on there, guys.
Like, okay. Or, you look at where the views are coming from, and they're all coming from Slovenia somewhere.
Yeah, literally there's software that these companies have that they can look at your joint and be like, okay, this is either authentic, or like you said, this is coming from East Uzbekistan like 20,000 times.
Well, people like us, we don't need software. We can look at this. We've watched all of this evolve. You know what I'm saying? So we know just looking at it whether or not it's organic or manufactured.
And they're going to care more about the organic. When you hear about these folks who are actually doing stuff now, we've been seeing them for quite some time. doing things.
Right.
Kendrick Lamar just didn't pop out of nowhere with Good Kid, Mad City,
right,
and the latest album. He was doing the independent grind. Jay Electronica, however you may feel about his shenanigans right now, he was doing that indie grind for at least 3 years. 2 to 3 years.
You know
I can tell you when we first started getting stuff. Before Rock Nation
crazy,
even eyeballed
man. When you think about like how cats got their stuff, I remember when B.O.B. got on, I had to go back through old emails. Like, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
DJ stuff. Haters Everywhere. I remember that joint when he did the Haters Everywhere single. I remember that joint.
Yeah, it's like people. It's just crazy. And 1 minute, they're on the underground, and then they're working through the ranks or whatever. And the next thing they got on. But to people who don't know the process, I mean, they think that this stuff is happening overnight, and it's not happening overnight. It's happening, over the course of time. I mean, most of the time, by the time the music comes out, it's already, 2-3 years old?
Or it might have been something that we've had for a minute. You're just getting it now on the platform.
Oh, my God. Do you remember the Weed Share files? The Weed Share service?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day? Okay, I was on Weed Share, and it was really funny because I used to promote in different on different sites, and one of the sites was like Billboard. And it was like a Billboard blog where you could go and comment or something and add something. So I added something. I don't know if it was like from unsignedhype.org or from Digable or STL Hip Hop or whatever, but it was definitely music. And it was like I think the weed file things or whatever. And guess who else was in there? You'll never guess. Kelly Clarkson. I was like, are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? Like right there. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point in time, it's like, wow, like she was on the grind. She was doing the weed file share, way back when. And it was just like, wow, like seriously. Cause I think Billboard had a tag or a section or a category for weed file.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you had the weed file. Yeah.
Like there was a lot of good work and grind. Oh Jesus, yeah. All of that. I mean, when people talk about MySpace, it's a joke now, but I'm like, bad people.
MySpace.
I first heard Janelle Monáe via MySpace. And people sending me her stuff from there. You know what I'm saying? That was before she got that was way before Bad Boy, but that was before
wow.
When she used to be with when she used to do stuff with Big Boy a whole lot. And before she put out that first EP and what have you. And then, she later on came out and did the album or whatever. And we're just there like, shit, this is bugged out. Like, in other words, people, next to nobody just comes out and is just there like, hey, I'm doing something. You might have, like, maybe 5 to 10% of those cats. But it's a grind and it's a struggle for a lot of folks. And for those who still are able to maintain, it's because A, they still put out quality product, and B, somebody down the line, even if they're a weirdo, somebody who they work with and pushes their stuff isn't a weirdo. So, get your stuff together. There's a reason why there's certain PR people and marketing folks and other stuff who are still around, because they might be there like, yeah, this artist might be difficult, but this person is decent. So I'll check them out because they've acted decent.
One of the things we used to do, during the early days is like, we would be some of the first. A lot of these artists, we either did their first interviews online or one of their first interviews online. So many artists came through. I mean, fresh, new. Green. You know what I'm saying? Like they're probably more honest and direct than ever. Because when they're new in the industry, they'll tell you anything. Like if you do an interview with them, they're not polished. They don't know how to, deflect questions and things like that. But we, like Jeezy, Boys in the Hood, Pitbull, T.I. I didn't even know who T.I. was. Like seriously, I had no idea who he was. And the label was like, oh, we gotta get T.I., we gotta get him on the site. And I was asking people and they showed me the video and I was familiar with the song. I just didn't know his name was T.I. And the T.I., it's like, it's funny because I was thinking about that when you were talking about how, these guys get on and they try to act brand new and they try to act like they're too, big to deal with you when they don't understand that, like, people like us, when these people do get on, we're the ones, you know what I'm saying, to do some of their first interviews, for the major labels.
Yeah, man. And now, it's interesting right now. I think the social media thing put it to a different level with musicians, because you got that, it's a double-edged sword of, I think, all social media. It's like, hey, stars are just like us. And we can talk and do whatever, but it's also like, wow, stars are just like us, and their worst ways could be wild, fucked up, and petty. And I didn't want to know anything about that. And now I can't listen to some of this music the same no more. Or
I hate that.
You're being a dick toward this media person, and this other media person, you're, kissing their ass, and it's like, oh, alrighty, and you're putting this in public, okay, guy or girl. I see how you are, Like, there's a reason why certain artists, I'm just there like, yo, some people just need to let your shit go. And maybe that's a whole other new lesson in this day and age, too. If you're too crazy, like, you're crazy and you can't back it up with, like, something that's like, wow, you're crazy and your stuff is dope, just have somebody take away your phone. Take away your phone, take away your tablet, or hire an intern to do your promo tweets. Because trust and believe, people get tired of that real quick. If people get tired of Kanye, they're going to get tired of you. With social media. Kanye
That guy,
literally
man,
saves himself with his music at this juncture.
It literally all fell down.
Like, the second he puts out Mediocrity, it's going to be a problem. He's lucky he has it, but it's like, bruh, I don't know. I don't want to tell you to shut the fuck up, because we all have the right to express ourselves.
I think it all fell down. I'm hoping he, takes some time to, reflect and just sort some things out, because, what concerns me about him is just really this whole 180 that he's done, and the fact that, he really, he's not the same as he was before his mom passed away. And just with the whole situation that I went through, with my mom, I don't know if people know, my mom was in a coma for, a couple of months, and it was touch and go. So, to experience that and to feel so close to losing my mom, I know how, a little bit how that feels. I'm sure it's intensified by a million, to actually lose your mom. But it's something that'll just tear you apart, and then to not have any other siblings, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't know if he has a father in his life or what, but just to be out there, aimless wandering, that's hard, and I just feel like people in his circle, I don't know, it could be him, it could be people in his circle, whatever the reason why it didn't happen, I really don't want to focus on. It's like the fact that it still needs to happen. Something's got to give. Like, really, I don't know if you saw what Rhyme Fest, did you see what he did an interview with, I can't remember who it was, but he did an interview and he was saying that Kanye needed, help. And that he had too many yes people around him and, some other things. So just on a level of just human, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a Kanye fan at all,
Yeah, I think that brother definitely has some issues he needs to resolve. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking about this a few days ago. I'm like, the bad thing about Kanye is, I think why so many people have a bit of an investment, either they like his music or no, is that he's the cat you look at, and you can kind of be there like he wasn't one extreme or the other in terms of what the boxes they want to put black folks in. But even with that, with people from the outside telling him he wasn't going to be shit, to people within our own community telling him he wasn't going to be shit, he was that dude. If nothing else, he made it.
Right.
He was that cat where it's like, yeah, all y'all motherfuckers say I'm a weirdo or I'm not supposed to do this, but I grinded, I got to this point, I got more successful than most people do. And I think for a lot of black folks who might not have the extremes of experiences people say you're supposed to have for whatever fucking reason, it's just they're like, yeah, man, that's right, we can do our thing, whatever. And then you just see him kind of like seemingly waste the opportunity by being on some fuck shit on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
dog,
why you gotta be a sexist? Why you gotta be goofy and all this, other stuff? Because a part of me admires the fact that he's just there like, look, I'm gonna be on my performance artist crazy motherfucking shit. I don't give a fuck. Because most people don't get to do that, period, as a creative. Much less as a black creative, especially in this age. Mm-hmm. At the same token, he has such a weird imbalance with it. It bugs me out. I'm just like, you're talking all this I don't give a fuck shit, but you're still sweating white America and Eurocentric shit. It turned out to be the height of heights. And, you'll diss the chick that you were with beforehand who was mixed for doing certain things, but your current wife did a sex tape and all this other shit, and her family has a bunch of issues, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that means these are necessarily bad people, but it's like you can't be on this bullshit all the time and then expect people to still completely embrace you. I mean, with the last round of stuff, you got a lot of folks who are there like, yo, this album sucks. Completely fuck this dude, because this dude on a certain bunch of levels, at bare minimum, is tortured. At bare maximum, it's just a shitty human being, regardless of what the fuck happened to him. And I'm like, I feel you for losing a parent. I've lost a parent. You know what I'm saying? Past few years, I've lost a lot of close family. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I understand that's pain. I can't tell somebody to quote unquote get over pain, because that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody deals with grief in different ways and stress in different ways. But it's like, dog, you can't keep being on this and just keep acting the fucking fool. And you're trying to alienate the people who have supported you. Like, you can't do that.
It's that, and then you gotta look at, this guy's showing up at award shows drunk, bottles of Hennessy. It's like, I'm just saying, in those conditions, you know what I'm saying? You don't know what type of decisions he's making or things that he's capable of doing. You know what I'm saying? If he's under the influence and just out there like that. And really it's like, for what? So it's just a lot. And to watch this stuff play out and there's no intervention or anything, I just hope he, gets better.
Yeah, I hope ultimately the brother gets, his business together, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you got a family, you got kids, you just need to have your own peace of mind, because if nothing else the past few years, I'm like, peace
That's
of
what
mind,
it is, peace
I treasure
of mind,
so
yes,
damn much right now.
You hit the nail on the head. He doesn't seem like he has a peace of mind. He seems like he's just out here, aimless.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing, And I'm like, you're putting that joint out there, and I think you said it perfectly with Rhymefest Stumps, the quote that he did, where it's just like, yo, my man needs help, and people ain't really trying to get him help. Ultimately, I think you make your own decisions with how you do your life. People can put a ton of shit in front of you, and you could choose not to do anything. But it's like, dog, you're the wife you have 2 kids with ain't like, yo, man, you might need to chill out a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your peoples, if you even have close peoples with God, I can't imagine dealing with all that bullshit and not having close peoples, but it can happen. You don't got your close peoples being there like, look, yo, you need to chill the fuck out with some of this shit. Because I think in a way he has a weird genius to the shit that he does.
Yeah.
I believe he's like 55% genuinely fucking crazy. And 45% savvy as fucking, and it fluctuates depending on the day. It could be one extreme side another day. Can I look at some of this stuff? I'm just there like, you might be one of the great performance artists of our time with this bullshit you're pulling. Like, some of the shit you're doing is bullshit. You can just tell with some of the shit he does. Where I'm like, this is kind of brilliant in its own fucked up way. But then you do something like, just talking a whole bunch of misogynistic bullshit. It's like, bruh, really? You didn't have to go there, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have to be thirsty talking about, instead of giving some stuff to Africa, give me some money so I could do great ideas. Shit, it's like, bruh, come on, man. Like,
see, that's the kind of stuff that I can't excuse. If it were just, the typical, bragging and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't even care. But it's like when he does stuff like that, when he, throws the kids in the mix, Amber Rose's child, and all this other kind of stuff. It's like that's where you like really, have crossed the line. It's not I don't care how genius you are. You know, it's just certain things you just don't do just out of, I mean, it's tasteless.
Yeah, man. Like, when all that went down, I'm still like, bruh, really? Really? You're doing legitimate fuckboy shit. You know what I'm saying? And I had to rant about that on the show, because I'm just here like, you're the ex nobody wants to be bothered with. Because you're just living your, again, however you feel about Amber Rose, I'm like, she was just probably living her life that day. Chilling, cooling out. Quite frankly, I think she's kept it way more cooler than most people would have. With the shit he talks on the big level. And you just probably got somebody like, girl, look at what this Negro talking about on your Twitter. Not just about you, but about your kid.
My question is, why is he talking about her?
Because money don't buy happiness, apparently. That's the only thing I can look at.
Thank you.
Like money and relationships can't buy happiness. Because when I looked at that, I was just like, you're married. You got 2 kids. I'm assuming you would be living the dream. You got more money than most people would remotely know what to do with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You get to live profitably as a creative, even with those ugly ass clothes you design. And
wow, they're awful.
But yeah, I'm like, hey, you're making it. What can I say? You're making it. And one of the things that comes out of your mouth when somebody wasn't even talking about you was, let's talk about that. Nobody was even talking about you or your wife. You know, Wiz Khalifa was just high, probably typing something out. He smoked some really good weed. And next thing, you know, you're doing is like that was a clapback he was holding in. I'm like, you were really mad that this woman didn't just move on, but she's been doing pretty good without you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I'm like, I would have never thought maybe, 7-8 years ago, we'd be like, wow, Amber Rose is going to be the most classy person out of this entire situation. Nobody
would have never guessed that.
Nobody would have ever thought that. And when they brought in the kid and she brought up the sex thing, I was like, you know what? I'm not saying it's polite. I can't be mad, though. Because you brought your kid in the situation. This is a woman who's kept I'm pretty sure some pretty damn big secrets about you. For a long time, on her own, where she could have easily sold you out so quick. She just had, and she only did it in like 2 tweets. So I'm like, she knows some stuff, where she's just there like, look, you were doing whatever during this, bam, them tweets disappeared. People were apologizing.
Oh yeah. The apologies. I was like, whoa.
I'm like, she knows some stuff, but somebody gave you a reminder.
Oh yeah.
I can't even be mad at that, yo.
Yeah, she knows some stuff.
Cause I'm like, people get hurt for talking about other people's kids.
She definitely knows some stuff.
You know, I'm like, you're lucky that didn't happen. Cause if that happened, I wouldn't have even been mad. Like, oh, somebody smacked Kanye up. Well, you shouldn't talk about nobody's baby. What the baby do? What did she do? Like I said, she's probably just living her life that day. And it's like, word, my ex is talking some bullshit about me. Oh, and my baby. All right. Let's go to war. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't even war. You know? I'm like, she could have really went in about your entire wife's family, because they're kind of a mess. You know? Kinda. Well, I'm being nice, you know. I mean, I don't know about certain people's life experiences.
Okay.
But I'm just there like, look. I'm like, you know, she could be like, dog, look at your family, dog. Do you even have a step pop, yo? You don't even got a step pop, yo.
Well, please, all she had to do was
she could have been wild nasty about it, but
just Ray J. That's it. Just tweet that word.
Yeah. I'm like, she could have been wild. She could have been wild nasty. It would have all been facts. All of it would have been facts. It would have been like, no, you want to attack me? I'm just gonna throw this little tidbit out real quick, and okay, you shut up. That's right. But seriously, man, I hope that dude gets help, man. I think he can do a lot if he gets some help on like bigger levels than just, you know, the music and arts. And like, in a way, I think him marrying into that fam might be one of the worst things he's done. Not necessarily because, I mean, I don't know homegirl. I don't necessarily know she's a bad person. But I'm like, you're dealing with a family of like narcissistic media hoes. And you already were kind of that dude. And whatever marketing lesson you're learning, you've become worse for it. And I don't know what this I'm only going to stream from Tidal shit is, but that's not going to last
Oh,
long,
wow. That is not going to last long at all. I mean, they're already going through it. They've had so many CEO changes and
they just had one last week, I think.
top
CEO
executive.
and CFO.
Yeah, and I think Rihanna's album didn't do that great on there.
I mean, I know they did all those like download johns or whatever, but you know, I'm like, y'all are at the highest levels. Like, you still got a product you need to push. You know, you can't be like everybody's just gonna stay on Tidal forever and listen to my album. Like, that's why they said that you got like what, half over, like it already went gold or something via illegal torrent. That's just torrents. You don't even know the other services.
Yep.
Or whatever. It's like, yeah, I know you're trying to do something that seems cute, but you're gonna need to get it together,
Oh, definitely.
Your album eventually people aren't going to care about, and it's going to go through. The fact that Def Jam could have even put out an official promo for it that was clean or dirty. Like, somebody had to actually pull that joint out and do it. I'm just there like, you're messing up. You're messing the fuck up, okay? And I'm not saying you gotta put out CDs or whatever again, but I'm like, right now, Kendrick put out an unreleased project that is going to end up killing it more than you, because unless it's going to be like a huge project for when you know drop that upcoming tour, you're screwing up, But who knows, man? That dude's a nut. He'll probably put out like some deluxe packaging bullshit for like $1,000 or something, and some
with a pair of Yeezys.
Exactly, and some goofballs will end up buying it, which is why I'm like, at this juncture, I'm just there like, you're a performance artist, This is what you do. Just don't fuck it up too bad and get yourself some help when you can in between.
Pretty much.
Because who knows, maybe he's scared of getting some help that'll mess with his creativity.
I mean,
some artists are that way,
Yeah, some artists are that way. It could be that. I mean, that could be it. That could very well be it.
And, I can understand somebody being there like, I don't want to take no pill and lose my creativity. I get that. But it's like, don't crack up, If nothing else, you got kids you got to live for. It ain't just about you no more, Don't be that dude. But, I don't know.
Don't be that dude.
That should be the entire thing for rap people at large. Don't be that dude.
Don't be that dude.
Most y'all don't even have Kanye talent. Don't be that dude, okay? Most y'all don't even got those good beats. I know Young Thug can make a living and stuff, but come on, guys. Let's not pretend that's going to last forever.
Oh, man, when I first heard him, well, not even his music, when I saw his name, I thought it was a joke. Young Thug.
It's one of those things that just makes me realize that either A, I'm getting older and I'm getting to that older point where certain shit I'm just not going to get at all. Or B, outside superficial marketing must be the most amazing thing on certain levels. Because I'm like, this dude looks like a sideshow.
Oh, wow.
He sounds like a mess to me most of the time. But somehow, he touches people. So,
yeah.
What do I know? You know what I'm saying? Aside, I didn't live a certain life in Atlanta. I don't know certain stuff. I don't really get Future's appeal either. Though Future was a lot of these guys
I just don't get. I don't get the appeal. I don't see anything extraordinary in them.
Well, Future, granted, he chooses good beats. I will give him that. Like, I can see, like, for the club vibe or whatever, that dude knows how to choose a beat. The bullshit he be semi-singing, I don't fucking know about that shit. But
see,
it's like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Like, some of these cats, I'm like, y'all got good production. Like, your producers are helping out more than you. But then I talk to people from those areas, like, some people are just, whatever you're talking about hits a certain way. So I'm like, hey, that's cool. Maybe that's me being 37 going on 38. I'm like, I don't fucking know what this bullshit is. Alright. Whatever. y'all be, you know. Like, I have John like, see, I'm older than you, and I felt that way about certain shit beforehand. I'm like, yeah. Like, we only got that 7-year age difference, but there's certain stuff, I'll just be there like, I'm feeling this, I ain't feeling this shit at all. It's like, alright. Maybe that just naturally happens. Or maybe we just been doing it too long. Who knows?
Or a combination.
Yeah. I think sometimes, even now, with like some of these new cats, they're like, this is super lyrical soul. So I'm like, this is boring as fuck. I've heard this before.
I know. It's like I heard this 20 years ago.
Yeah, no. I've heard this dude 10 years ago. They were called Eminem. I really don't.
Exactly. Like, we've already lived this,
now,
you know.
Now, I'll give you props if you're competent, but, man, like, one of my friends is only feels like whatever about Kendrick Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just there like, I don't hate him, but we're at this age, we've heard cats like this.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's kind of how I feel about him. It's not to take anything away from him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like I came up in an era where I would say the majority of the people I listened to were better than him, you know? So, and that's just my own personal opinion, personal take, you know, and I think, time will tell, you know what I'm saying? When you look at the journals, you know, and who has longevity and who, you know, achieves certain status, you know, I mean, like critically acclaimed, you know, that type stuff, not status in terms of like sales or anything like that, but the things that really matter to us, you know, time will tell. But yeah, it's like when you come up with I mean, so many greats, you know what I'm saying? It's almost unfair to them, you know what I'm saying, to these guys. They can't help it, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be in these shadows.
Yeah, man, like, I don't know, like, I expect people to be influenced by music, but I mean, hell, if we just talk about hip-hop alone, depending on definition, it's been around for 35 to 40 years. Yeah, I'm gonna hear certain influences by certain cats. But I also don't need to hear dead-ass carbon copies. You know, like, for me, yeah, of course you hear different influences from Kendrick, but I'm like, he's not a dead-ass carbon copy. I can still be like, here's this young dude's personality. And I really like the way he experiments with certain, like, production and musical things and all that other type of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I can fuck with this. Some other people, I'm just there like, yeah, so here's bootleg Jay-Z, here's bootleg Biggie, here's bootleg Eminem, whatever. This is like white noise I can vacuum the house to. I'm not really feeling offended, but I really just don't give a shit, you know? But it takes a certain level of stuff where I'm just there like, no. Like, I don't get Fetty Wap. At all. I don't get Future. I don't get Young.
I don't.
Certain characters, I'm like, what? Just, I don't get those dudes who do that California song. I'm like, it's the most boring fucking song on the planet. I don't care if you got T.I. or Snoop on it, or this, you know, lazy-ass Frankie Beverly and Maze sample. Why are people sweating this? And it's not like we didn't deal with shit that sucked before. I'll be the first one to say there was some stuff back in the day that sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But this, I'm like, you know, if I can't really listen to this sober, it's not really good. So I don't know what to say. Like, maybe you're making music for everybody who's drunk and lit up. I don't understand. I love mannequins.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. Isn't that what trap music is? That's not what it is.
I think to a degree it is, you know, but it's like, dear God, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not supposed to be there like, well, after 5 vodkas, this will be okay. That's not how music is supposed to work. At least for me. You know, I'm supposed to hear something to be taken to a different zone, not just be there like, okay, well, I see why it's a hit. Like, I could dissect stuff and be like, I see why it's a hit. Like, oh, the beat will bang in a club speaker. Oh, the hook is easy to sing. You don't know what the fuck anybody else is talking about. Like, okay, but like, oh, am I gonna play this for myself? No.
No.
Probably not, And I'm not on the I hate hip hop Steve's or whatever. I'm just like this mainstream stuff, man. I don't know.
It's
Even
garbage.
the videos, even the videos are mad boring. Almost like, oh, here's a club scene, here's a street scene, here's me stunting, lather, rinse, repeat. It's like, damn, at least make an interesting video. Here's the same, even the models are boring.
The same, everything,
models.
the same.
Oh, here's the product placement. That's dumb obvious. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I mean, if you're gonna blow a budget, at least make something visually exciting. But I don't know.
They don't. I think the reason we're saying that is because they get on and they think it's just a continuation of what got them there. They don't understand that, okay, now this is where you have to step it up, and you have to have that team in place. You know what I'm saying? You got to have consultants. You got to have people who, do different things, because that's like the seasoned salt, for your, that gives you the flavor, and they don't do that. They think that because they can rap that just all of these things are just going to happen magically, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's just bugged out to me. I'm just like, shit, yo, like, if you know you're going to be a one-hit wonder, or you might have that risk.
That's why they're a one-hit wonder. It's because they're just so basic. It's just the basic. I mean, when you think of, especially when you don't have, like, talent like that, understand? When you don't have, like, a certain level of talent, then you gotta have this other stuff. Now, if you got talent, yeah, you can be slipping in other categories.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't be slipping in those categories and then be whack on top of that. No.
I'm saying, I'm like, I want to be like, have the most, I don't know, maybe I just look at things well, I'm like, I want to have the most extravagant video where if I got to go out, you'll always play my video. Something will be interesting if my music ain't dope. Not like, wow, I don't want to watch either thing. Or the video does not make my... Oh, you know how back in the day some videos actually seem to make the song better?
Yeah. I mean, don't you remember back in the day we used to, Michael Jackson has a new video coming out.
Mm-hmm. Like that was it. That was like the end of the world. Yeah. Or you hear about somebody having something else, and that's like, oh, YouTube link dropped. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to tell you what I watched last night. And
I've watched so many
it was
videos lately.
Tisha Campbell.
Oh no, I saw that joint. I was just like, wait. I saw that a few days ago in the morning, whatever, because that was on my timeline. I'm like, yeah, I've had about enough of the day already. I can't. Okay.
I remember seeing it in my feed, and I was joking, like we're gonna make my cousin and I, we were gonna make a diss track, for the response. Just judging off the name. I think the name was Lazy Bitch, so I thought she was we didn't even know what the concept of it was. It was just the mere fact that she had the audacity, you know what I'm saying, to drop something, you know what I'm saying? So, we watched it last night, and it was funny because when I went on YouTube to look up the video, what popped up was a video from her cell phone. I'm guessing it was her cell phone or someone's cell phone. Mm-hmm. And she's telling the story behind the song, which was basically, what was the story behind it? It's so crazy. Oh, she was getting her hair done at a salon, or going to get her hair done, and whoever was there wouldn't let her go first. So she felt dissed, and she's like, I've given up. Like, she's worked with a lot of people, Cicely Tyson and all these different people, and all of this, and how people want her in it. I don't know. It was just really crazy because I'm trying to, like, get an idea, okay, what is the song about? The fact that some chick wouldn't allow you to get in the chair first, you know, like what is this? And then when we actually watch the video, it has nothing to do with that, and then it's just horrible. I mean, it's horrible. It's one of those situations where you're just in awe. You have no words, like no words at all. And so, I don't know. I don't even know if we need to do a diss track because I think she dissed herself enough.
Yeah, I'm about to say, save your recording time and leave that alone. And I saw that joint, I was just there like, okay, I don't even feel like commenting on this. Y'all know this is garbage.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move on.
Our response was gonna be a joke, but it's like you can't even. You know what it is? Is like when you see someone down, you just have to just leave them. Don't kick them while they're down. You know, like Serena with Sharapova. How do you pronounce her name? I can never pronounce her name. Sharapova.
The Sharapova chick, yeah.
Yeah, her. She's really feeling it. Like her sponsors are dropping her left and right.
Good. I got no tears for her. You know, Serena. If Serena like had a soda before the match and had extra caffeine booth, they'd be screaming on her. So.
Oh, you know that. But Serena, she's been really classy. She just, you know, she took the high ground and just because this girl, her career is over. You know,
Sharapova done. They're trying to softball her thing a little bit, but it's like, come on, you know.
Well, they were trying to, but now I think they're just. Because think about it, man. It's come on now. Mm-hmm. How can you be an endorser for Nike and you've been taking these performance enhancing drugs and you haven't been able to beat Serena in all the time you played her since 2005?
That's the thing I find the funniest. I'm like, yo, you took all this mess.
I know.
And you weren't able to even beat Serena. You still got crushed. It's like I put on somebody else's.
That's why she's losing her sponsors.
Yeah, that's why I put on somebody else's pay. I'm like, see, that's black excellence for you. This white girl was drugged up.
Yeah, exactly.
And
still
crushing it.
Yeah.
I know they had that meme where they had Sharapova looking bitter as hell when Serena's getting one of those awards, talking about the face you have when you take drugs and you still can't beat Serena. I'm like, that's fair, actually. That's a super legitimate statement. But yeah, I think she was getting more endorsement money for a minute too.
Oh yeah, she was getting more endorsement deals. That was like a huge issue. You know, people were like, how is she getting all these endorsement deals and Serena isn't? You know, and they're dropping her like flies. They're dropping her left and right.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, well, you know, them the breaks. Play the, you know, the breaks instrumental by Curtis Blow. That's your life. You screwed up. Them the breaks. You know, I'm like, y'all went after Marion for them drugs when she was running.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Interesting point.
Mm-hmm. And they slammed her down. So.
Oh, they slammed her all the way down.
You know, I'm like, y'all should know the game by now, and you just made it ultra embarrassing because again, you didn't even beat nobody. You know, hate to say it, Marion was black. They were going to get in her ass regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're that little blonde white girl, and they were probably mad at you because they were like, we kept giving you all these chances, and you still screwed up. We can't even say that you won and try to tap dance.
Exactly.
And I'm glad Serena's being classy, you know, like she's a classy broad in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she is.
Like, I'm sure somewhere privately she's just there like, yeah, that bitch, fuck her. But she's like, I'm gonna keep it cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's a struggle, things happen, you know, but yeah, just looking at how the news are trying to pad it like, oh, well, she had this thing, and that's why she's like, no, she took them drugs that y'all knew were wild illegal.
Yeah, how are they trying to come out with this new, what are they trying to say?
They're trying to do this like little new like random spin on it and whatever. Like saying that she has something and she took whatever. Like she took it for mad years, dog. It wasn't even like a one-time thing, and you can say that may or may not have been a mistake. That's quite alright. No, thank you. God, the weekend always looks horrible. I'm sorry. He has tried hard here.
Are you going to South by Southwest this year?
No.
No?
I don't have time for it. And quite frankly, honestly, at this juncture, the music part does not really attract me too much. If I go to South by Southwest, which hopefully I'll do next year, I'll go for more of the tech stuff at the film.
Oh, definitely. No, I was
That's
just wondering if
fascinating.
you were. I was just wondering if you were one of the people who are going to be skipping Nancy Reagan's funeral to attend South by Southwest.
Oh, well, fuck that. I wouldn't be going to that shit. No way. Fuck Nancy Reagan. Well, fuck the stuff. Fuck some of the stuff that she pushed. I can't say fuck Nancy Reagan. That's
just say no. How about that?
I'm about to say I'll just say no to that on multiple levels, and just say no helped out nobody, really, but law enforcement.
Or you could just say fuck. Just say no.
Well, that could work too. You know?
Okay.
Quite frankly, no, that's me. I don't know if I should say that. Well, screw it. I'm waiting for Clarence to transition. He needs to go. He can join
Clarence.
Scalia. He needs to join Scalia.
No, Clarence, he actually spoke.
Yeah, because his boy Scalia wasn't there. He probably had to lose his granddaughter, and it was something stupid.
His first words in 10 years.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't like wishing evil upon nobody, but if something happens to Clarence, I ain't gonna be mad.
I mean, I think that whoever wins next is gonna get to a point, a couple, because some of those people, it's like they gotta just be barely hanging on.
Well, you know, they're all wild old besides Robert, you know. And I'm sure that Ralph Bader Ginsburg's just trying to hold it down as long as she can. Till, you know, she's done.
You know what?
So
I don't
Mayor
understand.
isn't too old, but, you know, she only has a decade.
Why do they serve until they die? Like, they literally stay on the job until they die. There's no, I'm going to retire, you know, I've done my X number of years. Just because there isn't a term doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying? You don't just put in time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally going to stay on this job until you croak?
Well, I mean, if you have a job that you know is guaranteed to pay you an insane amount of money, it gives you an insane amount of power, and a lot of those folks work for that job all their life, I can see why most of them stay in there. Like, only a few of them actually retire.
Until the day you die.
Well, some of those folks, especially if they're like, the way they have it right now, where unfortunately too many people are diehard one way or the other with certain things, like, you know, I hate to say it, even without me disagreeing on his politics, Clarence Thomas has nothing to offer. But this is and
if it is a lifetime position, they should be required to take tests, you know, like mental health tests, physicals, you know. Who knows what's going on with some of them? I mean, what if they're developing Alzheimer's or something? How would we even know this?
See, that's the thing. Nobody would really know, and that's the crazy, unfortunate side of everything with all of this, too. With the way these politicians are fooled, they're trying to feel that they can hopefully stack a deck. So, like, I know when Scalia died, I'm just there like, well, the presidential election's already nuts. It's gonna be extra nuts because now they got that pressure on them. And at least 1 or 2 more is gonna probably go out in the next 8 years.
Oh, so definitely.
So you got them trying to play chess with it, you know.
I want to know what is your opinion of your boy Trump?
Honestly, they ain't gonna do shit to Trump. He's gonna get a nomination.
Oh, you know it.
Like, they're talking all this broker convention bullshit. That it's not going to happen because Trump's already punked about and played them out. Am I surprised at the way he is? No, because he's always been a prick. You know what I'm saying? Now he's just a prick on a larger scale, and the G.O.P., they didn't just sleep on him. They also were incompetent throughout the 8 years they've been down here. Me living in this area, you know, I've seen everything that happened with the government shutdown live in a living color. I had some of that affect my money. You know what I mean? On top of other stuff, like the GOP promised a whole bunch of nonsense while dissing other groups of people. And now they got their Frankenstein's monster who, you know, if nothing else, he knows how to run a sideshow.
Oh,
He knows how to get attention from the media, because that's been the majority of his life. He's had enough money to do certain things on his own, and I think ultimately at the end of the day, if he gets enough numbers, like a significant amount of numbers, like let's say this Super Tuesday thing gets to a certain point, and he like gets, I think, Florida and some other spots, it's over. It's completely over. Now, do I think he needs to get kicked in the teeth? Of course I do, because while he's a great showman, he's being a showman while fucking with the worst aspects of people, which is racism and sexism. And classism, like when they had all them crazy-ass rallies and whatnot. Now, I'm curious to see who's going to run as VP, because I actually think if he gets elected or not, it's going to run more on who he has as VP than him himself. Because he's going to eventually have to learn how to talk about some real shit. And if it's not going to be him, it's going to have to be somebody else. Now, if he goes like Palin-y, he'll lose. Because even these G.O.P. cats who tend to be lemmings on certain stuff are going to be like, we can't have two types of crazy. But I can't see who the hell he would choose as VP. Right now.
Trump is so crazy. I think he'd choose himself as his own VP.
It would have surprised me. Frankly, but in all honesty, I look at the people who are out there like he bitched out Chris Christie. Now Chris Christie might either try to be Attorney General or VP candidate.
Yeah, and I don't think Chris Christie should be the VP because they would clash entirely too much. Maybe Attorney General, something like that.
But I'm like, Chris Christie right now is desperate because he can't rerun for governor in New Jersey, and he is super hated in New Jersey. Like he can't get shit there no more. But
wow.
I don't know who else
Chris Christie.
Who would be remotely respected? Because all these guys.
You know what I think he'd do just on the ego trip? Offer it to Jeb Bush.
I think that would have him lose.
No, I don't think that he would. I don't think. Wait. No. I don't think Jeb Bush would run with him. I think that would just be his way of rubbing his nose in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I can see him pulling a bully thing on some of the cats who lost or whatever. But,
he's definitely gonna, do. He's doing that already. I mean, he's already, demanding that Rubio drop out of the race.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's all types of crazy stuff going on. But I look at him, and I just think he's the manifestation of the GOP's fuck-ups. And honestly, how a bunch of people are punks as the American people. Because ultimately, Trump is a punk. He can't take criticism from nobody. He can't even take real questions from nobody. But he knows how to rally up a bunch of, idiot white bread folks. And, the few confused / scared colored people who are, soft pedaling him and what have you. I think in the general election he's going to try to pseudo soften his stance, and that's when I think the Democratic Party is going to come at him hard because he's given them all the fodder in the world. Now, is that going to matter? I don't know. Because again, the American public,
I'm like, man, they voted George W. Bush. And then my thing is, what really gets me is they've shown how they'll just say whatever and put whoever in there. I mean, look at how George W. Bush, got in there. So we know that they'll do, whatever and justify it. I don't know who Trump would. I've been sitting here trying to think of, like, seriously who he would, pick as a VP, and I really can't see him picking any of those guys that were on the debate stage, and I mean they're all just dropping out. They're dropping out. I mean, Ben Carson dropped out, and there wasn't really much talk about that. I think he kind of dropped out maybe a while ago and just made it official.
Man, Ben Carson was just grifting, He knew that he could be the good, quote unquote, good black dude. Talked all that delusional nonsense for a minute, and then Trump got into high gear, and that was that. Would it surprise me if he asked Carson? Not really, because they would on the surface think it was a strategic move, and then Carson talked that. I mean, I don't know people's religion, but I'm like, he talks pseudo god nonsense to me, So that might get, a certain crowd. And then they could be there like, we got our Negro too. And Carson's also docile as all get out. So that may work, but I don't know, man. I mean, right now I'm not even tripping. I'm like, Trump's going to get the nomination. If he doesn't get the nomination, there's no other better option, quite frankly.
They don't have an option. I mean, Cruz, Mitt Romney? Are you kidding me?
I mean, Romney, that shit ain't happening. Ain't nobody gonna back up no Mitt Romney for no broken convention.
You know it.
If they don't want their party to fall the hell apart, they're not gonna back up the loser who ran beforehand. And they have all types of evidence on. Freaking.
They
Ted
really
Cruz,
don't have anyone.
Ted Cruz looks like Gargamel, and he's a horrible human being on the inside too. Rubio doesn't have. They don't have anyone. Votes, for his type of thing. And while he might have been the one who they could have tried to push a certain way, he's still a little too crazy. Jeb just seems to be like, fuck it, I don't feel like being bothered. I doubt he really tried to do some cool shit unless he was just being ultra petty. Or his family told him to be ultra petty. Kasich has enough nonsense on him from Ohio. I don't necessarily know if they would put him in the mix or not. Because he's really screwed over that state. Maybe. I think he's, like, out of all of them, I think he's the closest one. I think that if he had to select from one of them, and if not one of them, then who? I mean, who is he going to get? Some Jersey mob guy? Trump's a nut, man. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he was just there, like, Omarosa's going to be my VP. I don't know. Man. Like that. Like, I think right now, he's already an egotistical dude. All this nonsense we could have, he knew his prey. I'll give him credit for that as much as I think he's a horrible human being. He knew this was the time to hop into the GOP. The GOP ain't had their own mess together. Then you had 90 billion candidates. And, he knows the public. I'm a loud, rich white man who can talk like a fifth grader to morons of the majority of this country who just want to be there like, make America great again. This is bad. This is sad. I mean, my man made dick jokes during like a GOP joint
debate. Yes, and that I know that had to be historic.
Like, I had to sit here. I'm like, you're talking about your dick during a campaign. Like, well, my hands are small. Something else ain't either. I'm like, what? What is going on? But then when he was having all them rallies and he repeated that one person said that, Cruz was a pussy, he repeated that aloud and all this other mess. I'm just here like, you know what, it's just horrible political performance art that the GOP set themselves up for, and as much as I think a lot of this is bullshit and it's going to ultimately end up hurting people, I'm like, if this isn't a sign that our system is messed up, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, it's a sign.
I don't know what to tell you. If you look at this shit, they're like, this is completely sane. I'm like, this is the craziest crap I literally have ever seen in my entire life or something. And the first time I voted was during, the Bush-Gore time. That was my first presidential election I participated in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I remember I was up late, because it was my senior year. I was writing a term paper. And I was like up late, and they were just there like, oh, it looks like it's projected that Gore one. I was like, oh, cool, all right, whatever. Go to sleep, wake up. We don't know who to win. Like, what the fuck you mean you don't know who won? That how it even works? They were just there like, So right from the gate, political corruption has been a part of my
when they
life.
started with the whole, do we count the votes? Do we not count the votes? And what's a hanging Chad? And I'm like, are you serious? Watching them do that was like watching a third world country. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously.
Like, the funny thing is, like, we all know this has game elements to it to a degree. Trump is just letting it all out. I mean, the joint from yesterday, I'm just there like, my man is talking about his companies during half of his speech where he talked about he won a state in the caucuses. He has Trump water, steaks and other bullshit, and he's waving around talking shit. I'm like, if this wasn't my country, I would be like, that's still fucked up, but this is kind of hilarious right now. Because in a dark humor way, it is. It's like, look at this bullshit that's happening right now. Oh my God. Y'all are mad at Michelle Obama has toned arms, but his wife has everything out back in the day. Who? Oh God, that Barbara from First Lady. I don't even know what to say.
Oh yeah, I remember her.
You know what I'm saying?
We were watching Trump's Michigan victory speech, and he was up there just slinging everything. Trump steaks, Trump wine, the water. Yeah. I'm like, it's straight up product placement. Like, seriously, he had the stuff actually there, like the display of all of this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he's a great sideshow barker. He's a great performer. He knows how to use the media to a T. Most of his promotion has been these news people like, we need ratings. Let's interview him or talk to him or wait till the next bit of crazy shit happens. And he knows how to make crazy shit happen.
Yeah. Oh, he knows how, and he knows how to promote himself, you know, when they come running. You know, and I was just like,
he's promoting racism.
I mean, he was literally, it was an infomercial, I'm telling you.
So, like, I saw that joint, I'm just still like, you gotta be kidding me right now. Like, every day, it's almost like every day I'm like, this cat can't be more of a hot mess. He pulls out something that's a hot mess. Like, but at the same token, I'm kind of happy he's running, and on a certain level, I'm kind of happy it's semi-successful, because I'm like, look at all the racists coming out. Look at all the sellout coons of all colors coming out. You know what I'm saying? Live in living color. All these people who do all this bullshit at these rallies. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're living in the internet age. You know that, right? You're gonna have a few really pissed off people. They're gonna find out who you are, where you work, where you live, and we all know. I kind of want everybody to have this stuff out there. Like, you endorse Trump, good.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me know, because if heaven forbid he does get a nomination, I want him to get whooped by somebody. I don't want it to be a close loss. I want it to be a damn that was by like 20 to 30 percentage points or more loss. I want to have everybody who was cheering for that chump be embarrassed, and I want him to be embarrassed enough to had to be quiet for a minute. Where there's no history to it. I don't want it to be 51 to 49%, because that Bama will try to fight it.
Oh yeah.
And we won't have
I think
like
he'll try regardless. Serious.
July 2017.
I don't think he's gonna go away quietly.
Like, this thing right now, I just think he's a monster that the G.O.P. created through their nonsense, and they just weren't prepared, and they ultimately want to win. Like, Trump is a horrible human being, but he's their horrible human being.
Right.
You know, and if it's between them getting to the White House and doing some nonsense or not getting to the White House, they're gonna back him. And again, unless it's a huge upset,
they're gonna back him.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially pushing what they push, but he's just being loud about it. And I think they're more mad about him being loud about it.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, they don't want the stuff out there like that. You know, that's the stuff they say amongst each other.
Yeah, it's like what was it? I think Saturday Night Live they had a sketch where they were doing the debates, and they had the joke with John Kerry talking about, we're the GOP. We said our racism quietly and politely. I was like, oh shit, we can't have it like Trump, you know. And I think that's the thing that makes this entire election terrible. Because I look at this, I'm like, I don't expect the GOP to be shit. But it's like they found a new way to be extra ain't shit. And then Hillary and Bernie, I'm just here like, y'all aren't doing your job. Now, granted, they might be trying to wait just to make sure before Trump goes in to go, you know, guns blazing. But I'm like, right now, because you see this horrible nonsense happening, if these people try to come out to vote in November, you need to have every vote of color that you can possibly get, and you're not necessarily aiming for them right, or you're alienating them by being stupid.
Or being arrogant, you know, because I'm gonna tell you, the Sanders has his supporters are horrible. I'm not saying all of them are, but a lot of them are, and they're going to be problematic for him. They're turning people away from him.
Yeah, like the Bernie bro thing is real. And I'm like, that's not going to help folks out. You know, that's not going to help folks out. at all. Like, while they're not like the clannish folk that Trump has, you can't be the white liberal who's like, y'all darkies, shut up, we're gonna tell you what's good for you.
Exactly.
Like, that's not the way to go, and I think Bernie needs to have more people telling them that and getting, that notion in line where it's like truly like we all have to be in this joint together, because quite frankly on policies, like, nobody is really killing it, but I'm like, if one had to choose, I would choose Bernie over Clinton, if I had to choose the quote-unquote major parties and not probably end up doing what I'm going to do and vote for a third party if we aren't too assed out or whatever.
I would not vote for Hillary at all.
Like, I have no desire for a Clinton. Like, zero zilch, But Bernie had to get his stuff together quick. I'm like, you gotta depend on more than Cornell and Killer Mike.
You know what's crazy to me? Spike Lee and Angela Davis endorsed him, and he doesn't have them front and center.
I'm amazed by that, because when I saw Angela Davis
completely, but see, that's what tells me how completely out of touch he is. It's like, dude, you got Spike and Angela? And you're running around here with Killer Mike? Really?
I'm like, for the indie vote alone.
Killer Mike and D-Way.
Yeah, and I was like, like, y'all gotta do a little more, because even with these caucuses right now, you still got what to me is an absurd amount of black people voting for Hillary.
Yes, I can't believe it.
Like my mom is like, I'd vote for Bernie Sanders right now over Hillary. And, he's like, he just sounds like he talks, like he makes more sense. And I'm like, on a lot of levels he does, but he needs to have people push that to other folks who aren't just being there like, oh, well, I know what a Clinton is, I don't know what a Sanders is.
Right.
And when I do talk about Sanders, a whole bunch of white dudes and chicks talk about why Sanders is supposed to be my old man Jesus, and fuck that, whatever. Like, you can't have that type of thing going on and think everything's gonna be all good, because we all know what Clinton is. And while I'd rather deal with the devil I know, per se, how about not dealing with them at all?
Right. When do we get to that point?
But that means a whole lot of people had to change their entire mindsets. Like, for me, like in the next 2 weeks, I'm interviewing some third party candidates or whatever. And because I want to have people hear other viewpoints, because I'm like, you're not really hearing too much at all, even from the mainstream media, about anybody but Trump. You need to hear about other people and know about other things to know whether you agree or disagree with certain stuff. The way our system is, we only hear the other two people, and that's it.
I don't even know who the third party candidate is. Do you?
For the Green Party, I think Jill Stein's doing it.
Okay.
And I got Skolnick and somebody else for the Socialist Party, but I'm interviewing them in 2 weeks. And the other socialist cats have some other folks running. But see, our mainstream media never hypes up a third party candidate unless you have a rack of money. Like, we haven't really heard about a third party candidate since Perot. That's when he had that was literally billionaire running on his own, and he had to push his own stuff, because they wouldn't really let him on any real debates or whatever. And
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, man. Which, God, that's a long fucking time ago too. But yeah, like our system itself doesn't really try to even have third-party candidates represent at these debates, and that's a whole other jacked-up situation. And whatever. I think you have to get... I think even to get matching funds for your party, if anybody runs that certain stuff in the future, you got to get, I think, like 5% of the vote. And usually most cats don't get that. But that's because nobody knows their stuff.
Exactly. No one knows their stuff. No one knows who they are. Like, I didn't even know, who they were.
And, like, what kills me with their type of stuff is, I'm like, a lot of stuff that you see people, like, bite up bits and pieces of, even with third parties, like, I'm not down for, like, libertarians or whatever have you. You'll have other parties take little bits of their stuff, but they won't really go hard like the other folks do. And with third parties, you usually see them represent more on local level, which is another reason why I'm like, people should vote because they need to vote on local shit, than state well, definitely not federal. Very rarely we get a federal. I mean, but Bernie was the only independent guy till he ran for president.
Mm-hmm.
And what have you. Like, that might be a whole other thing. I think, black folks, they don't need to try to shift to us, reestablishing their base of power. Like, we shouldn't be guaranteed votes for Democrats.
Right. That has to change.
Like, we had people get mad at us with last week's show, because I'm like, these cats need to earn our vote. Why are we supposed to be a guaranteed vote? I'm like, why are you mad about that?
Yeah.
Everybody else gets to be a constituency,
hostile,
like wild, hostile, and hot about it. It's like they're like, no, I'm not supposed to worship Bernie or Hillary. You need to earn my fucking vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's gonna be in comparison to Trump, sure, but I shouldn't have had to be there. Like, well, I guess I'll eat this piece of stale bread compared to the moldy one. You need to give me something.
Mm-hmm.
That's worth it. It should just be there. Like, well, B-Gyrls, come over here again, because they're too crazy. It's like, what else you had to offer besides not being too crazy?
I mean, I look at it like this: being given the opportunity, the option between getting shot in the face and getting shot in the back of the head.
Pretty much. Like, well, this part, you might still be able to walk if you get shot here. But if you get shot in the other place, you might not be able to see. It's like,
Exactly.
When you get shot in the arm, and it might not get decapitated, or you can get shot in your foot and might not be able to walk. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And your riding arm, too, so we'll make sure that it
has
a little extra stuff going on. Like, this is not cool, But I think because on certain levels Black America had to deal with so much, maybe people aren't at that point of even trying to concentrate on hearing other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying you got to become a diehard communist, socialist, anarchist, or whatever. That's your steez. But you kind of got to know what the hell that is. What is that? What does this represent? How is it different? How could it be for justice ultimately for you and others? Because for me, the vote still has power because nobody would try to block our vote if it didn't. Besides the fact that lots of people died for it and all that type of stuff, if our vote meant absolutely nothing, not saying it's the most powerful thing, but if it meant nothing, they wouldn't care if Black people went out and voted.
I think we just have to be strategic about it, and I don't think that, voting is simply just casting a ballot. I mean, you can go about it in different ways. You can, protest and use your vote as part of protest. You can make, so many statements, you know what I'm saying, by being, more, we've got to get to a point where, we get something back. That's the bottom line. That we get something back, that our votes we're compensated for our votes. That they have game plans, when they come to us and solicit our votes, that they're not just coming and whipping and nay-naying, that they've actually set and put some thought into, our situation. I mean, you go to people and you don't even, you haven't researched their situation. I mean, just the mere fact that Hillary told, the Black Lives Matter activists to go create a plan. It's like they have to create a plan. You're supposed to have a plan. What are you going to do? Since you're so conscious and aware of what the problem is, what is your plan for a solution? And the plan for a solution, can't be to ask me to go create a plan for you.
And that's a whole other thing with Hillary. I'm just like, you're just being wild, unlikable right now. You're not even.
I think people just see through her. She's so just,
not even trying.
Fake, and it's almost like she feels she has this wrapped up. That's how she acts. So.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people expect the Black vote no matter what. Like, if we are talking about hanging you or beating you with sticks, you're supposed to vote for a Democrat. And I'm like, you should want more than just that. I mean, of course, I'm going to think you're ill mentally and otherwise if you vote for Trump. You know what I'm saying? If nobody's threatening,
Oh,
your life and your
definitely.
family's life. But you need to have more than that. Like, you can't have people just there like, hey, what's up with this super predator thing, and you ignore folks. You can have people like, however you feel about Black Lives Matter, hey man, we need a plan so people don't get beat upside the head. Well, where's your plan? You're the politician. Where's your plan?
Exactly.
You can
That's your
tell to
job.
us.
Exactly.
You
I mean,
know.
if we got to come up with the plan, then you need to step down. We need someone who knows, this is their job. You're the person that's in office. You know the budgets. You know how the system works. How are you going to tell us to write the plan? Like we that isn't our job. We don't know all the ins and outs of writing a plan or how to get it financed or, what resources they have available. How are we supposed to know that?
And this is the thing with both Bernie and Hillary to me, where I think Bernie's a little more susceptible to actually listening and doing other stuff, but it's still like, y'all need to have this stuff together because this is the stuff that one of the constituencies you're going to really need to get to a certain point. They're going to want to know this stuff. It's like, Bernie is almost too used to talking in generalities, where I don't necessarily think he has a bad mindset or anything, or is genuine and actually wanting to help, but it's like, you need to be able to break this stuff down to those folks that you need. You can't just be like, we need more jobs, we need more other stuff. It's like, yeah, we need that, but we also have these really big issues here that tend to affect us more. How is that going to help us out? Like, the vote shouldn't end up having to be, which heaven forbid it might end up being that type of stampede, anything but Trump.
I agree.
Like, the best case scenario is there'll be a split vote if Trump runs independently and there's a broken convention, but I don't think that shit's going to happen.
I don't know, man, because they've shown me they're just really willing to do whatever. So I don't think there's any line that they won't cross.
See, that's why I think they'll hold on to him. Because ultimately they're gonna probably want things to be more quiet and, just hear him in a back room say, I'll do this stuff and I'll semi-behave. Like, because if they do a broker convention, Trump has the ego and enough money resources, I think, at least for a little while, that, like, he would run independently out of spite. He would not go away quietly.
No, he's not going away quietly.
Like he would probably first try to sue him.
That's not going to happen.
He'll probably first try to sue him, then he'll, like, make up some Trump party or some nonsense, which would be the only good thing to me that would happen, because that would cripple the G.O.P. factor in its current form, where they at least had to pretend to care about people at large. And unless, like, Hillary or Bernie would literally shit the bed, which I hate to say it, who knows, they could, one of them would probably get up in there and be a better option than, I don't know, Cruz Rubio versus Trump and some other loon. And, whatever else, But at this juncture, I'm just here, like, I'm just watching the horrible political sideshow. And
yeah, slow-moving train wreck.
Hoping I don't have to go through recession again in a hard way. And that's about it. I mean, ultimately, I'm just like, the American people are very stupid and very prejudiced and racist in huge numbers, which we already knew. But
yes, we did, by experience.
With this, by life experience, much less observance, And you just gotta look at this stuff like, well, this is a reflection of you, because all we want to do is live our lives and be peaceful. Y'all don't know how to deal with any kind of struggle. And now you have a little taste of it, and everybody betrayed you. You just went idiocracy on everybody. And they're going for this dude that looks like a rotten sweet potato. Just because. And, well, we get to see what's what, I just want to have all you people who co-sign them when this dude loses. Which I hope does happen. I just want to see all y'all try to backtrack later. We can just be there like, nope, we got receipts.
It's going to be a sideshow from here until November and probably all the way to January 2017.
I mean, literally, unless Trump gets his ass whooped, we're going to have problems. That's why I just wanted to be a thorough beating where it's like, look, bruh, you lost like 50 to 35.
27. Okay.
You know, or worse. I wouldn't mind if it was worse. And it was just mad independents voted for somebody else. Everybody voted for folks but you. So, leave us alone. G.O.P, if you're remotely intelligent, leave this bullshit alone. At least be crafty with it if you're going to try to pull it out again. Because you're really lost. Let us just live our lives. You know, pass some laws that make us be screwed with a whole lot less, if at all. And we'll be cool. Because somebody had to learn a lesson. Because for me, with the GOP, I'm like, yo, y'all do know that whatever way it goes, you're on a hard countdown to ending. You're about to be the Whig Party.
The Whig Party.
I'm just hoping that nothing worse comes from that. Because right now, they know they're boned. Unless they got the illest plan that none of us know, they're screwed.
Oh, most definitely.
Like a whole bunch of the world is looking at these folks like, man, what? We've dealt with crazy America. Y'all are super crazy America. And
well, it's about to be super crazy America on steroids.
Yeah. And I think ultimately even the world doesn't want President Trump. And I think the only way, if somebody in GOP does have a backbone and some balls, they're going to have, like, I don't know who they would have to come out for a broker convention, like, what, Colin Powell or somebody.
Yeah, now if they can do that, they may have a shot, but I don't see that happening. And he's actually said something in the past about, I don't know if he specifically named Trump. I bookmarked this and I have to go to it, but he was definitely criticizing the party and where it is today.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Colin Powell, he wasn't down for certain stuff beforehand. I mean, he pushed some of that war foolishness, you know, and that wasn't cool. But when it came down to certain stuff, he was just there like, nah, B, y'all could talk this other stuff. You're not taking this affirmative action business. And some of this other goofiness, absolutely the freak not. No. No. You know. So, I mean, it would have to be like a miracle thing. It would be like Colin Powell and Reagan resurrected or something. I don't know who they'd be able to get away with to have the Trump cats, like, shut up. So, I mean, who are they gonna run?
I don't think they have anyone. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think. I don't.
Maybe?
Who?
Condoleezza Rice, maybe?
No, because I think what Trump did is like he really awakened that element within the movement, and you're not going to be able to put that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what white man they'd be able to have run that people want to like run away screaming from. But who knows? Maybe he'll like have Tom Brady be his VP. I don't fucking know. It's all stupid right now. At this juncture, next to nothing would surprise me. Like, unless he, like, resurrects Hitler or something, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, grab your popcorn.
That's all it is literally every day right now with this stuff. I'm just like, I'm glad Ben Carter's not being an embarrassment anymore. That's my thing. I'm just like, dude, you're supposed to be, you know, the guy with the gifted hands, not a fool. That's what
it's just a reality show. You know, I was talking to someone, and I think it was one of the debates or one of the victory speeches after a caucus or something, and they were just like, they thought, like, is this a Saturday Night Live skit? You know, like, you're watching this, like, is this real? This is real, and it's real.
Yes, and it's wildly disappointing when you look at all this stuff, but hey, man, it's gonna be a ride. That's all. Like all of life, it's gonna be a ride.
A roller coaster.
Yep. But yeah, man, we got some good interviewing and stuff. Really got to thank you for this.
Oh wow, thank you for having me. Wow, I'm just thinking about all the different things that we covered, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What transpires from this point.
Oh yeah, no question at all. I am definitely I'm looking forward to the responses because we talked about a lot of things to say the least. And, yeah, the next few months to year is gonna be fascinating, and I hope with the stuff that we've talked about and predicted, the better stuff happens than the God damn it. We're right about the wrong thing again. I don't want to be the Black Cassandra predicting garbage.
I don't want to be right. I really don't want to be right. I've been right about so many things, and I don't take any joy or anything in that. It isn't a, ooh, I'm right type situation. It's pretty much trying to have, foresight, to see, or to be able to predict, certain things so that we can prevent them, not so that we go through them, so, I'm really, really hoping that, a lot of what I think will happen won't.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are starting to get wise. And I think more people are going to learn from it than, just get embittered and say, screw it.
Right.
On certain stuff. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride, man, because I think a lot more information and or propaganda and or tactics are going to come up from multiple planes.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to unfold in front of us live and living color. If nothing else, that's what the internet does for the masses
24/7, exactly. 24/7, 365, it never stops.
No question. I hope more people just get helped out than hurt. But yeah, y'all got yourself a nice chunk of interview for the FuseBox Radio Broadcast and all the wonderful stuff that we do. So you're gonna have a nice bit of extra content this week. And again, thank you, B-Gyrl, for interviewing with us and all of that cool stuff. Folks can
Thanks
check
for
out.
having me.
No problem. And as I said beforehand, folks through the interview notes can check out all the great sites and activities and stuff that she does. Definitely check them all out. Definitely join those Facebook pages. You will get all kinds of info. And as you've heard throughout this interview, we can talk about serious stuff and we can talk about crazy stuff too. We can talk about music stuff and, our news and revolution, everything in between,
Everything.
People, it could be lots of good quality business. And you can always check us out at the FuseBox Radio Broadcast at our official website, FuseboxRadioOnline.com, FuseboxRadioOnline.com, or FuseboxRadio.com. You can check it out through all of your favorite podcast services. And if you dig what we do, please definitely give us a 4- or 5-star review at those sites such as iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Podcast Addict, and plenty more. Our personal blog site is blackradioisback.com. And yep, sit back and enjoy us each and every day weekly, bringing the balance back to black radio to the masses with great news, commentary, and interviews, and of course the dope music mixes. Alright, peace.
You can listen to the FuseBox Radio Broadcast via iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Podcast Addict, and your other favorite podcast players. Check out the FuseBox Radio's official website for our latest episodes, events, and more at FuseboxRadioOnline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Fusebox Radio Show, Twitter at Twitter.com/Fusebox Radio, and Instagram at Instagram.com/Fusebox Radio. Feel free to contact us at FuseboxRadio@gmail.com to submit music for airplay consideration,